3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome, folks, to episode 142 of Ruse Radio. We are back at it again with a very special guest. Special guest, please introduce yourself.
He's only asking me to do that because he doesn't know how to pronounce my name. My name is Khaya Osborne.
For the record, I have that, I'm like autistic with it. I'll say that same intro every single time. Like, I've managed to start episodes differently. Like, if we're just chatting, I'll just let that flow naturally into the episode if that's what happens. But like, dude, it's like it establishes something. You know, 3, 2, 1, and then you say hello. Literally the same lines. And I feel like what's funny about it is I always say I have a very special guest today, and it's funny because you'll always see people like go like, "Ooh, like I'm the special guest," but they don't realize I say that to everybody.
You sound like stoner NPR.
That's what this show is.
The Garrison Keeler of niggas with Rick and Morty bongs in their mom's basement.
You know what? That is exactly what this show is, in the podcastle, inside of the podcastle.
The podcastle, hell yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah, brother. Who needs a bachelor pad? I got a podcastle, brother.
Yo, that's how I should introduce myself to people. As I hand them my business card, that's what I will say.
Okay.
If you want, you can come over to my podcast so we could have a couple brews, bro. You know?
No, that sounds like you're trying to date rape the homies.
Not cool anymore.
I'm not gonna lie. That sounds a little gay.
That's what I think is cool. That's the problem. That's the problem. I need to work on myself a little bit. Hey. Well, someone just clicked on this video. They saw your face. They're wondering, who the fuck am I listening to? Who am I watching right now? How do you introduce yourself to the people?
Hello, my name is Khaya Osborne. I am a poet, a stand-up comedian, an actor, a stoner, a failure, a negress, and I'm a little fat too. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Throw all that on like a resume.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm a budding alcoholic, but we trying to nip that bud.
Yeah. You're moving soon. What's that like? How did that all happen?
Oh, I'm going home. It's just been too hard to make it out here by myself. So I'm going home for a little bit and I'm gonna come back.
Home to the homies.
Home to the homies.
Yeah.
So we can kiss.
Yeah. You already have like so there's people you can be with there. Where is home?
My mom. I'm gonna be living with my mom. My parents they just got divorced, so that's like, you know, that's happening. So my mom and my sister are staying in one place. My dad's staying with his friend, so I'm gonna be living with my mom and my sister.
How long were your parents together?
I'm 25, so my parents, and I mean they're still technically married. They've been separated for a while, but so 25 years.
Damn.
My parents got married in July. I was born in August. I'm in the wedding photos. Literally just like, my mom didn't even have a white dress. She had a different color dress, and I think it's because like my grandparents were super Christian. I think they probably wouldn't let her wear a white dress.
Why? What is it like? What would be the
churchy people are like that? Churchy people are like, if she's not a virgin, don't let her wear a white dress. Like back in the day, especially black churchy people. Like, have you seen that video recently of like that black congregation that had that teen mom get up on stage and apologize for getting pregnant to the congregation? Yeah, and then the pastor was like, we ain't finna be no baby showers, ain't no gifts, ain't no like just like, yeah.
Let them know.
Churchy people. I don't know. I mean, it may have been my mom's choice, but I would imagine she probably heard some input from the elders, because that's how it goes.
That makes sense, though. You know, play it cool. You know, just go by the rules.
Yeah.
Even if you don't believe it, just go by the. That's politics 101, folks. You go by the rules. You play inside of the ballpark, and you get by. So maybe that's all that was happening there.
I think people have relaxed about that type of shit now because,
for the most part,
we're just kind of seeing that like life just fucking happens to you sometimes, and it's like whatever.
When you say like relax to that, what do you mean exactly? Like what are they relaxing to?
Certain social mores that used to be a bigger deal.
Like,
okay, when we were kids, I distinctly remember a time where it was considered super rude to like shit in public.
Really?
Yeah, to like shit in a public bathroom. Like you were supposed to you could pee in a public bathroom. You're supposed to like hold your shit for home.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've heard anyone complain about like being in a public bathroom and like someone taking shit. It's been
Honestly,
a really long
like,
time. Just little shit, little social rituals we used to commit to as like a culture that now we're just like, fuck it.
That's true.
Yeah, and some of it's small, some of it's big.
Yeah, like, but why do you think that is? Why do you think people are relaxing to it? Like, what is the change?
I think that's just how. I think that's how social progress works. I think ever since the institution of sociology and like just the idea. Sorry, thank you. The idea of groupthink and like studying group behavior.
Yeah.
I think has caused people to be more reflective, and it's kind of produced this domino effect of people being like, hey, well, that's not cool. 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 Hey, well, that's cool now. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to look at it. Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, I think there's multiple factors with that too. Because I mean, there's all kinds of things that would make someone kind of think outside of a box. Like my theory with Americans in general is like, what I like to say is, it's like if you grew up with parents who lied to you all the time, and when you got older, you realize like almost everything they used to tell you is a lie, and so now you just don't believe your parents anymore. Like that's how most people feel about the government.
So my grandmother was born in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
She's from the South. She's since passed, but my grandmother was kind of given like a certain sense of innocence for a long time that a lot of black people of that age didn't really get. Even though, obviously it wasn't too much because she was living in the fucking segregation South. My grandmother believed in Santa Claus until she was 13.
Hell yeah.
My grandmother believed in Santa Claus until she was 13 because her father felt like that was such a big deal. Like, for whatever reason, he felt like Santa Claus was a big deal. The idea of, like, some nice dude dropping off presents or whatever for Christmas. I don't know, like, just Christmas was a big deal to my grandmother's father. Shout out to him. But then he was killed. My grandmother's father was shot by... I forgot if he was shot by the mistress herself or shot by the mistress's husband. But my grandfather was shot by, like, one of those two. And so when my grandmother was 13, because her mother wasn't working, she was like a housewife, basically. My great-grandmother had to tell them that Santa Claus wasn't real and that their father had been doing it the whole time, and that she couldn't afford to do it this year. And my grandma, before she died, she told me that was like, she didn't say it in like exactly these words, but I think it kind of just like, I think one, having her father get killed and like finding out that he's like having an affair or whatever, and then like finding out Santa Claus is not real, like together, like really, she said it was kind of like when she felt like she stopped being, super innocent.
Interesting. Like that's
like
her
kid.
disillusion to the entire
To the
framework
whole thing.
of the world.
Yeah. Which is, that's wild to think. Like, I stopped believing in Santa Claus when I was really young because I snuck out of bed one night and I crawled into the hallway, and like we had one of those L-shaped hallways that fed into the living room. So if I'm standing at the beginning of the L, my family can't see me and I can't see them, but I can hear them, and I could hear my parents wrapping the gifts and putting the gifts together.
Like,
so that's when I knew
know who that is.
But I also felt like it was gonna hurt their feelings if I said anything.
You didn't think like maybe a little bit like, okay, well that was my parents wrapping the presents, but maybe they're like working with Santa, or maybe like Santa's also wrapping presents.
No, I've never been for that shit.
See,
I've never been for none of that shit.
When I think about it, I don't even think I had a moment that I stopped believing in it. I think I just kind of always knew, like, that can't be.
Yeah, that's like...
Hang on.
Hold on.
You guys think I'm stupid or something?
Something's fishy here.
Like, that just doesn't line
Santa
up.
Claus smokes the same Marlboro Reds as Grandma. Like, that's like what we're dealing with.
Now, I'd like to think it's my independent mindedness, the unique person that I am that allowed me to know that Santa has got to be some malarkey, okay? And I was always set up that way. I always had that mindset within me that was bound to pave the way because I just was on a constant search for truth. And I think that even 8-year-old me knew that one day, not only will I pursue truth when I get older and bigger and smarter and stronger, but I'll become a professional at it. I'll pursue the truth and I'll blow people's minds. And then I could be called a professional mind blower. And that's what I've become, folks, and you can become one too. You probably already are one, but if you want to be affirmative, you want to let the world know what you are, and you want to let yourself know what you are, you get yourself one of these t-shirts. We got smalls, we got mediums, we got larges, and we can make more sizes if you so please. They are $25. That is shipping included. It's a great way for you to support this show. Say you want to support this show, but you don't want to get a t-shirt. You want to let little 8-year-old Ruse know that Santa might be real. Will you start sending gifts through the Patreon? That's right. Patreon, folks. $5 a month, the price of a coffee, the price of a beer at the bar, and you make this whole dang thing possible. I love doing this show. I love bringing people in. We do an episode every single 3 days, and the only way that is possible is if we get a team behind this dream. So please help me to do that because I got no funding at the moment. Okay, I want to hire some people to edit. I want to hire some people to promote. And if I do that, I go into the negative numbers. How do I not go into negative numbers? You help me. On the Patreon, there is exclusive content. There's exclusive podcast content. There's songs that come out there before they come out for the rest of the world. And also, you can hear songs that'll never be released anywhere else on that Patreon. So just consider it, okay? Not only are you making this thing happen, you're helping this thing grow, you're telling me you believe in what this thing is, but also you're getting a little bit out of that deal, okay? Sounds like a pretty cool offer to me. You know what else is pretty cool? Freaking Santa and the Tooth Fairy. Let's get back to that.
Yeah, I think I was probably like 5 or 6 when I stopped believing in like the Tooth Fairy and like all that shit, but I went along with it because everyone else was going along with it. Yeah. And I remember one time I told my sister that Santa Claus wasn't real.
Shame on you.
Of course. I didn't fucking get it. I was just like, come on, dude.
That's
like,
how it happens.
Come
on,
are you fucking serious? Are you fucking
you really
fucking
believe
kidding me
in
right
Santa?
now? Come on, brother.
You fucking loser.
Fucking
you
loser.
think Santa's real?
Yeah.
Are you stupid? Are you a loser?
Yeah.
And then the little kid's like all self-conscious about it. Like, wait, what? It's always something like that. Like it's like
no,
they're teasing
I don't know.
them.
No, she wasn't self-conscious about it. She was like, yes, he is. Shut up.
But you planted the seed in her brain. You started the whole cycle.
And then, so she told my dad, and my dad chewed me out. I thought he was going to whoop me because I used to get whooped. I thought he was going to whoop me for that, but he just like yelled at me and was like, you can't do that. Like, you can't be telling her Santa Claus is not real. Why would you tell her that? And I was like, because he's not. And my dad kind of didn't know. He like kind of didn't know what to say. Mm-hmm. And he kind of just went like, well, don't be telling her that stuff. Like when my dad, when I would like stump, I used to do this a lot. I would stump my dad and my mom.
You had him flabbergasted.
I was one of those smart kids and I had a smart mouth. And so like, you know, I would just be like, no, XYZ and ABC is irrelevant. And they would just be like, I'm the adult. I'm the grown one here. And I'm like, are you convincing yourself? Or are you convincing me? Because I'm pretty convinced that you're an adult, but I'm convinced that you're an adult that's wrong. So, you know, my mom has kind of like stopped doing that. My dad is still kind of there. Like, sometimes we disagree on something. He's like, I'm 60-something years old. And I'm like, you're 60-something years old and you're wrong. And I just Googled it. And I'm gonna tell it's on Google.
Yeah.
So
when I was a kid, I always hated when adults did that. They would say like, "I'm in charge. I'm older than you." Because like,
but now
even as a kid, I understand like that doesn't mean you're right. Like that doesn't make you right. Mm-hmm. That's not how that works. Like you can't just say like I'm the one who knows more than you. That's not how it works. You gotta like prove yourself to be right as like the person. So I remember as a kid like getting all pissed off when that would happen. I don't think I remember like. I would go to the principal's office, and I don't think I, like, talked back, but I remember, like, I can't even remember why I was in the principal's office, but, like, they would get mad at me because they would say I was smirking. Like, they'd say, stop smirking. And I'm, like, literally, like, right there, I didn't think I was smirking.
Right.
I probably was. I probably was, like, a little nervous. And, and they thought I was being a smartass. But I feel like that's it made me. Dude, that's just so funny. Like the dynamic of adults like arguing with this like that's smart little kid. That's probably like where young Sheldon came from.
The thing I never understood as a kid was like, people used to tell me all the time, you just can't accept being wrong. You never know when to just accept that you're wrong. And I'm like, you're doing the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that always bothered me. People would be like, well, you just want to argue. You just like to argue. It's like, no, I don't like to argue, but I just think I should in this moment because of XYZ. And we can argue about the merits of that all you want, but like at the end of the day, I think it squashes children's ability to develop very, very crucial critical thinking skills they will need as adults when you operate that way. Yeah. So I've always told myself, like, if I ever wanted to be, if I'm gonna have kids, like, that's one thing my kids are gonna be able to do, and one thing I'm gonna expect them to do is challenge me. And I'm even gonna like test them sometimes and like say things that are outright wrong and just see what happens. Like, it's gonna be like that. It's like, no, you're gonna have to be like, excuse me, like, and cite your sources and all that type shit. But like, I have fertility issues, and I've since kind of committed myself to like not dating anymore. So I think like the kids in question would be either fostered or adopted. Yeah. Like that's I think that's the route I'm gonna go, because there's a lot of kids being abandoned and rejected right now, and like you don't really necessarily have to make more anymore.
I mean, just the fact that somebody has to take those kids in at all, somebody has to do it. Otherwise, they're just. It's so sad how foster kids float around the way they do, and like a lot of the times they end up in broken homes, or they end up going from one place to another. Like really, the best thing you could do is give them a good place to be.
There was a shit ton of problems with the foster care and adoption systems in America and like how they operate. Things are a little bit too like for profit. I mean, even and it's hard to kind of make the distinction, because at least with foster care, like, foster parents get a certain amount of money from the state, but it's like designed to. It is intended to like care for the child, same way child support is. Okay. Like you are giving child support to a person to reimburse them for the care of the child you two made together for the money they've already spent, if that makes sense. And foster care money is, at least with like the younger kids, it's like supposed to be kind of like that. But as you know, a lot of people just end up living off of it, or trying to find a way to live off it, and like don't really put that money towards increasing the child's quality of life or anything like that. So, things like that get dicey. With adoption, there are so many cases, and it's really sad. I've seen of like adoptive kids getting like molested and raped by like the adoptive parents, and like it's just all this background check shit that they're doing is like not working. It's just like a lot of shit is not working. But I would still say that I don't see a world in which we could ever design sufficient enough social conditions to have it where people are not abandoning their kids.
No, it's impossible.
I think in every version of the future, people are going to be abandoning their kids.
Yeah. Like, I think, like, the problem with all of it is there's no idealistic world where everybody's going to be perfect. That just don't exist. Like, you're always going to have murderers. You're always going to have people who abandon kids. You're always going to have crazy people on the fringe of society. It's the way it works. Like, they're never going to go away. You just have to find a way to make that work within whatever framework of society you've built, It's the process. Like there's definitely better things we could do. Like that's the only way out of that. Like maybe make some more rules where kids can't end up in places with certain people. Like maybe make it harder for, I don't know, like what is, maybe like if you said lack of background checks, like there's not really much of that.
I've got a super controversial opinion if you want to hear it, but just know that it might get you in trouble.
Tell me.
It might get me in trouble. I think just knowing what we know about the capacity for male violence and how a lot of men, most men, I would argue, are socialized to conflate violence with sex and sexuality to a certain degree. I don't think that single men of any orientation, gay or not, should be allowed to foster and adopt children on their own.
Wow.
I don't. I think it's too risky. I know how that sounds. I know how that sounds, but just knowing what I know, knowing what we know of men and like what they do, and I'm not saying that women don't abuse. Obviously they do. And obviously there's women predators. You seen these like female teachers who be out here ugly bleach blonde bitches, like face built like pelicans, and they out here fucking they male students and shit. So I'm not, but I'm saying there is a difference in likelihoods, brother.
No, that's
like,
true.
You know
I mean, you know, the reason the male suicide rate is so much higher is a lot of it is just the fact that men choose more violent forms of suicide than women. And so men are more successful in their suicides than women are because they're more violent. And that's literally what it is. I was so surprised to hear that when I first heard it, but it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's just because literally it's testosterone.
And it's actually because, well, no, it's not just male testosterone. I'm going to challenge that a little bit.
Okay. Well, I just imagine like it's the biological makeup, though, of a man. It's like more aggressive. It's more about fighting for your resources.
That is a sexist lie.
No? Then what would it be?
No. I do not believe that men are more biologically aggressive. I think whatever's going on with y'all biologically can manifest as aggression now, but I actually think that's more of like a patriarchy issue.
Okay.
And y'all being told that y'all are I feel like men are given more space to be violent and are more encouraged to be violent. Like even down to like roughhousing and play wrestling with boys, how that shit gets
slap boxing, bro.
Right, slap boxing and all that shit.
That's
so like
crazy.
I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to be the expert, but I will say that, sorry, to go back to your point about
well, I just thought that like that's kind of what you meant too by the whole thing with why you would have men being more aggressive with the children. Like what else would cause that? Just the thing within society that causes men to feel that way is what you're saying? Like the fact that men see that and it's taught to them? Because that is true. I mean, it's definitely taught to men more than women.
It's a patriarchy issue.
Yeah.
It's a patriarchy issue. I don't think it's a man issue. I think it's a patriarchy issue. You know what I'm saying? And I think if we didn't have patriarchy, and the legacy, the social legacy of patriarchy, I don't think men would be... I think men and women would be an equal threat to children, but since we have that... I'm so serious.
It's a great statement.
I'm so serious. If we did not have patriarchy, men and women would pose the same level of threat.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I mean, I honestly, there's a lot of truth to that, just in the sense that, like, okay, if you did not have men in power for most of history, you wouldn't have the image of men feeling like they need to hold power. I mean, that's just undeniable. That's obviously true. But the question then would be, like, again, like, you say it's not biological. You think there's no biological nature happening there. Because that's really the argument I think that would be against that. Like, there's a biological nature for men, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the answer. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the answer either, because in nature we find, like, especially in animals where the culture is once the female has a baby to just like tend to that baby and not mate anymore.
Yeah.
We see like I think like gorillas do it, and other primates, giraffes and elephants as well. They will kill the young so the female will mate with them again.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So like the fact that we as humans kind of don't have a mating season, if you think about it, that's actually saving some of our lives. Because if we did have like a mating season, a strict mating season where we're not fucking, where the females refuse to mate with the males outside of that season, there'd be so many human men running around grabbing babies and just slamming them against walls like this is fucking Beloved. Okay, have you ever seen Beloved by Toni Morrison? Yeah, the movie with Oprah in it.
I actually haven't seen the movie, but I'm just imagining the picture.
But the book, you've read the book? No. Okay, Beloved by Toni Morrison is this book about a slave named Setha who escapes slavery, comes up to Ohio, and she gets chased up there by slave catchers / former owners, right?
Okay.
She's there with her children, and she attempts to kill all of the children when she sees the slave catchers coming for them in the field. She takes them all to a barn and she tries to kill them all. And spoiler alert, the book is called Beloved because it is the stand-in name for the one unnamed child she was able to kill. And she does that by swinging the baby and crushing her head into a pillar of the barn, basically. And why she does that, I'm describing it this graphically at first on purpose, because it's like on purpose. It's like this woman does this very terrible thing to her children. That baby is the only baby to not survive. She has 2 sons and another daughter who all survive.
Okay.
The attack on them from their mom, but the boys obviously run away. They're traumatized by her and scared of her. Yeah. But also, the dead baby spirit is haunting the property that Seth is on because she did this. So the house and shit is like, there's all kinds of issues. Like, shit goes flying through the middle of the night, and there'll be crazy, mysterious wailing sounds and all this stuff. And the book is really kind of an allegory for Black people struggling with the legacy of slavery and just exactly how traumatic slavery is. Because you find out through the book, they kind of hint at it, but they never really you kind of have to piece it together. But Setha kills those kids because she decides that death is a bigger freedom for them than what is waiting in slavery. She was also going to kill herself after killing her kids, and the slave catchers run in there and they catch her, and they catch the young baby who ends up being one of the other main protagonists when she's older. Her name is Denver. That's her youngest daughter. And Denver's all really fucked up and socially anxious and has issues too, because she's super socially isolated and has grown up this way. But it's basically like they show you like Setha's trial and everything, and they're trying to decide like, was she just being a monster or like whatever, and they basically decide to let her go because they know that she's a woman. And I think, pretty sure Ohio was generally a free state, but it was close enough where like slaves would run over there and slave catchers would come in there and get them and drag them back, and nobody could really do anything. Yeah. So it's a really like when I think about, no, you're fine. When I think about that book, and when I think about things like liberation, it kind of reminds me to always look at the stakes of things. And I feel like the stakes of things matter. So to bring it back to what we were talking about with the whole foster care, adoption, men, women, aggression kind of thing, I think that men are socialized to believe that a lot of the stakes of their life are dependent on how aggressive and dominant they are. And it's how you get enticed and kind of sold on the idea that patriarchy and that believing that women are less than you and like all that other shit is what is going to benefit you. It's how you get, it's the same thing with like black and white. If you teach poor white people that regardless of how poor and how broke and decrepit and terrible of a human being they are, as long as they're not Black, everything's okay. There's always going to be division, right? Yeah. And if you teach Black people that all poor white people do is think about them all day and plot on how to kill them and want to do their genocide and who would ever want to get along? Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's. I hate to say it, but I do think a lot of men are still sold on that. A lot of men are firmly rooted in that self-concept as dominant. And that means I must dominate everything. And I just, and also, like I said, I've looked at stories, I've looked at data. It is unfortunately, hate to say it, but it is just a fact that still, by and large, most violent crimes and most sexual crimes are committed by men. That and against children, again, committed by men. So you have to take that into account when you're looking at like, okay, this child just came out of a super traumatic experience, regardless of what it was. Even like a newborn baby. So like if you give birth and they drug test you and your baby. Yeah. And your baby tests positive for like any kind of drugs, immediately CPS, social workers, usually the baby's seized. Damn. So, and people are like, well, how can that be traumatic? Because the baby doesn't really know the mom. You grew in there. you like grew in there. There's like certain hormones and certain pheromones that baby's brain is seeking, because that's how we like, you know, stay connected to our children and so, and you've just kind of taken them away from that. I mean, obviously for good reason. If this woman is using drugs while pregnant, she's going to be using drugs while caring for a newborn, which is almost more dangerous. Like, the baby's gonna survive the pregnancy or not. Hopefully. But like, once you're a newborn and you have to be held and rocked and walked around, like all that shit, cared for real, and your caregiver is like on some serious shit, substance wise,
yeah,
that's where that's where babies are dying of malnutrition. That's where they're getting fucking thrown in dumpsters and shit, you know, just all types of crazy shit. So to me, I'm like, I know I come off, there's so much harm reduction to be done, and I feel like we don't want to do more harm reduction in the world because we're scared of hurting people's feelings. And that is actually really funny for me to say, because I'm generally someone who says like, PC culture is not my enemy. I do think political correctness is not necessarily the enemy, but I do think it has its limitations. And I think it is too politically correct to say that single men who want to foster and adopt and single women who want to foster and adopt should be treated the same.
Right. We're bringing it around town, folks. See what's going on here. We brought it all back.
Sorry.
No.
That was
great.
long.
That was great.
That was long.
See, okay. But like, interesting.
And please challenge me as much as you want. You can tell me I'm a mean old man-hating misandrist.
Well, I agree with you so the limitations of PC culture. I think, so for one thing, I should say, I agree that like, if there was a more maternal understanding of one another within culture, generally speaking, like if we just looked at one another and tried to understand and tried to embrace one another and enhance one another, like focus on that. Like when you see somebody who disagrees with you, don't think about how much of a piece of shit they are. Instead, think about like, what can I do to help this person see what I'm seeing, you know, and how can I elevate them to maybe, and you don't have to agree with the person at the end of the day. Some people you will never agree with, like we said before, there's always going to be bad people in the world. But I do think 100% that like, if it wasn't so like the whole way that the whole story is told is that the world is like conquest and conquering, and you just take shit over. It's what the story of America is. We just came in here, we rolled up, we fucking took the shit over, bruh. And like, that's the story of most things, is like whoever won at the end, and it was all war, and then war led to victory, and here we are. Right. And that's the story you're told. And it's just, at a certain point, like we should be so far along where we can say, you know, like we haven't had war in what, like 30, well, war in America, I should say, and there's war all around the world. But like, if you're living in this peaceful world that we're living in, you should at one point say, like, wouldn't it be nice if we just promoted everybody getting along? Can't we just do that? Well, but like, and that would be, in my opinion, the feminine way of thinking about it, like in the way that society would tell you what is men and what is women. The maternal feminine way would be to understand and not to fight. That would be what you're told. Well,
okay, so no. I've been having this conversation with another comedian in the scene, one of my besties, Matt Brown. He's great. You should have him on the podcast. But and we've been talking about like the primordial mother, right? And like what the primordial mother did and looked like, and like how the concept of maternal instinct now has been super westernized, super whitewashed, and kind of forgetting that like violent women have also had their place, and violence in women has also had its place. Yeah. Because remember, even with the like hunter-gatherer theory, right? The men being the hunters, the women being the gatherers. When the men were off hunting, this was back in a time where humans had predators. We still had predators. Them bitches had to scrap. Okay, people forget that women used to have to hunt and fight bears with the men sometimes too, because the baby had to be strapped to their fucking back. Like and that's where that same kind of concept, to bring it to like, or you know, when you're a lot of like places where they lived where there was like snow and stuff. I imagine humans had to learn how to run from avalanches. Do you think the primordial mother like had time to like sit back and knit her kids' sweaters when like the elements were a bigger question? No, I genuinely believe like, and I think that's why the adrenaline spike for a mother when your child is in danger is so high, because your brain isn't like on a super like lizard level, right? Your brain doesn't know what a car is. If you see like if your child is playing in the street, right? Let's say your child is playing in the street on your cul-de-sac, and a car whips around the corner, comes out real fast. You ever seen those videos of those moms like flying across the street or something, snatching the kid up and like swinging them around and like saving them from something, right? That sort of maternal instinct. Your brain is not going car. Your brain's not going car coming. Your brain is going threat. Your brain is going predator. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why when people have to like save their kid, that's why that adrenaline comes up, and then like, you know, and then it comes back down, and then they're angry and they're like, watch my, you know, like, and
Right.
it also happens to us with like day-to-day stuff, like when we find ourselves threatened or whatever. Who the fuck is texting me when I'm on a podcast?
Yeah, what an asshole.
What a fucking asshole.
Well, wouldn't that be, though, if it was like the hunter-gatherer theory, wouldn't that be that the woman would be the one typically with the child, and so that would be built into the woman? Would that be like the primordial mother, the one that's with the child, whereas the man's the hunter-gatherer? Wouldn't that be why the woman would feel that more than the man? Because I don't know. I don't know if men have the same, like, mom lifting up a bus thing.
Yes, I do.
Do they?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Hell yeah.
But like, because to be honest,
1 point for men right there.
Yeah, I'm from the hood, and I remember like when I was a kid, and I remember like one time, I'm trying to remember where it was. We used to have like a little shopping complex in my hood in South Sacramento, off of Mac Road.
Okay.
And the
Was
only
it like
thing,
was it decently busy? A lot of people there?
Mac Road is very busy, and it's ghetto. It feeds into Meadowview this way, and then it feeds into Pocket Road that way. So it's a busy road.
Okay.
And I remember one time I saw like these dudes roll up to the beauty supply in a car, and they got out and they like ran in there, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. But it looked like they were gonna rob it or something. I didn't see guns or whatever, but you know, like, have you ever seen people rob a place?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, they run in there, they grab, usually they're
Doesn't
either
look
grabbing
good.
something or they've got a gun and they're like, give me money or whatever. But I mean, like, it looked like they were gonna like steal things from there. So, and this man had his super young daughter, like, and is like walking past the door as they're running in, and he snatches her up by her collar like this, and like I said, like brings her around like that. I've seen people do this, especially black people. I've seen black people do this with kids so many times, like whether they're in trouble or whether they need to be saved, like just snatching kids up. Like I've seen that a lot. Yeah, so I do know. So what I believe, and I gotta look this up again, because from what I understand, the hunter-gatherer theory is still like kind of contested.
There was a book I read called On Human Nature. I don't remember who it's by. I think it was Edward Wilson. Something Wilson, I feel like. But I've got it around here somewhere. There's a bunch of books off camera here. But it was kind of that. Like, there were parts of the book where it was saying, like, they observe these different cultures, and what our understanding of like the difference between men and women, and our understanding of the difference between even like the way different cultures think about time, for example, like how some people might think of time as this like, okay, so let's say you go to, it was a certain Native American tribe, but there's so many of them, so I can't tell you exactly which one. But they would go to this Native American tribe, and they would just ask them questions about like how they thought about time. And say you put one of these guys in a room for 3 hours, and then you take them out of the room. You ask them how long that was.
Yeah.
They would tell you they were in that room for 4 months because they don't even know how to think about time. Like it's so hard to understand.
When was this?
This book came out in like the 80s or 90s. It's called.
But when were they asking these Native American tribes these questions?
It had to do with like I think what it all started with is they needed somebody. They were having problems with like the army. They would go to this other or the military, I should say. They would go to these other countries and try to interact with these people, or maybe like the military's trying to interact with the Native Americans when they first had to start interacting with them. I can't really remember the exact details. I think it was like something like that. And so then this guy gets hired to go there and try and connect with the cultures and understand them. And then through that's where this entire kind of thing stems out from, is asking them these questions and then realizing, oh my God, like they think completely different than us. Because what would happen was the government would roll up and they would like try to tell them like, hey, we'll work with you guys. We just need you to give us corn like once a month, okay? Just give us some corn once a month. We'll fund you. Like they would make a deal. And then like the Indians would get mad because they're like, we don't make deals. Like, what are you talking about? Like they're mad that you even rolled up and asked them that, you know? Like because the entire basis of their culture is not the same as ours. And so you have to start from like ground zero is kind of what the whole thing is telling you. And like, again, men and women, like how they have different roles in certain different types of cultures. Like literally, sometimes the woman is the one in charge in the culture. You see it sometimes. It just happens. And so it makes you think maybe, like I'm trying to think there, I wish I had the book because there's like specific examples with the men and women thing in particular, where it's like, you would think the certain thing about men because that's what you've learned, but really it's actually not quite like that.
Yeah.
You know? So,
yeah, I refuse to believe that men are naturally more aggressive because I've met men who are just not that way. They're just not like that. And they have been socially punished for it their entire lives.
Yeah.
Like to major detriment. And I will even admit that like I participated in that before I knew better. Like as a girlfriend, I used to be a terrible girlfriend. Now I'm like, I think I would be a good girlfriend, but I'm broke. So
I'm like the same as
I'm
the same with the boyfriend thing. I'm like, you know, I'd be a great boyfriend, but I'd be like, hey, by the way, I'm barely paying rent this month. So
listen, bitch, are you trying to cuddle or not?
Yeah, like what are we trying to do?
Fuck all
here?
this takeout shit, bitch. I got $12.
Yeah, listen, I got ramen noodles in the cupboard.
Exactly, you want some top ramen? I got some top ramen, baby. I'll boil you an egg. I'll cut the fuck out that egg, baby.
That's
you ain't never
night.
seen me cut no egg, baby. You ain't never seen a nigga cut an egg like me.
Mm-hmm. That's flirting to me, you know what I'm saying?
Lowry seasoning salt on the egg and some oregano. Make her feel fancy.
See, like that's how it goes. Like,
and that's another. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. What were you gonna say?
You know how like we were talking about like people are like men are like naturally aggressive. You know what I mean? And like people will say certain like when it comes to dating, I find it really weird how that the stereotypes that we have about each other, because I feel like they're generally not true, because like one thing that people say a lot is like women are gold diggers and like women only want you if you've got money and like da but like I feel like everybody knows some bitch with a useless boyfriend that and they're gonna get married at their like 10-year mark because it's gonna be a shut up ring because she's been nagging him to do it. He can't hold down a job and she just lets that nigga live there. You want to know what that is? His tongue is immaculate. Women are gold diggers. Women are gold diggers. You know what? If the gold is the orgasms, yes. Because if you've noticed, men who are good at sex literally get away with murder.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, and everything else.
Yeah. You know, Ted Bundy had a lot going with the sex appeal at the very least.
He was so ugly. I've never understood that. This is such a white people thing to me. This is such a white thing to me because Ted Bundy is hurt.
I don't think I would never be attracted to him, but I think it's like girls go for crazy a little bit. They see the crazy in his eyes and they like it. You know, I think that's what's happening with him. They're like, you know what? He's like, he looks like he's put together a little bit, but also he's crazy. Like he's a mystery. He's a mysterious man.
I have to pull up the picture of him to make sure.
Ted Bundy. I'm thinking like
Tell me.
You don't go to like a later picture from his life. You got to go to an early one when he's younger.
Tell me this don't look like that nigga from Everywhere you look, everywhere is a heart, is a heart. And he look like that nigga. That's what he looked like to me.
I can see it.
When you're lost out there and you're all alone. Yeah, that's what the fuck he look like.
He's talking Bob Saget, right?
I think so.
Bob
Saget.
If it's John Stamos, then that's
no. Bob Saget. No, like if like Bob Saget and the guy who plays the brother were smushed together.
Jeff Daniels. No, it's not Jeff Daniels. I think it's somebody else. That's Jeff Daniels.
I think it's Jeff Daniels.
I thought that was the guy from Dumb and Dumber, though. I think I'm mixing.
Maybe I'm tripping.
Dude, I'm close.
I know some white people lore.
It'd be crazy. I've never even watched that show for real.
Yeah, Jeff. No. Wait.
Bro.
Wait.
Ruse with the deep cuts. Dude, that'd be crazy. Let's see. The clock is ticking, folks.
No. Okay. That's not his name.
Uncle Jesse.
He's a Jeff Daniels lookalike, but his name is Dave Coulier. So if you put Bob Saget and Dave Coulier together, that's just Ted Bundy.
Yeah, okay.
And like Bob Saget during Full House time was hot. Dave Coulier. If he pulled out the Amex card, I would fuck him. You see? So maybe I'm a little bit of a gold digger. Like if Dave Coulier showed me the platinum black, you know what I'm saying? Now we're talking.
So there's a grain of truth there then.
There's just a tiny grain of truth.
Yeah.
I don't need finance, but I am saying generally, people will be like, women have to have this, women have to have that. And I haven't found that. I have found that, this is mean, men have preferences that don't make sense for who they are.
Meaning?
Like, you need to know, you need to know your league.
Yeah.
I don't go for like bodybuilding, like muscular. I don't go for dudes that are super rich. I don't go for dudes that have been like playing fucking lacrosse their whole life because they're out of my league.
Well, there's the whole thing where like women like tall guys and they won't go for like shorter guys, like stuff like that. Even like I feel like
I don't do that.
But do you think that exists? Like, do you think
it does exist? Yeah, for
exactly.
sure. But it's usually bitches who have been told that they're pretty their whole lives, whether it's true or not. Bitches who have been told that they're beautiful, they're pretty, they're all this, they're all that, and a bag of chips, and da. And like that's like I think that women having good self-esteem is a good thing,
right?
But I do think that like
there's a balance. There's
a balance to it, and it becomes arrogance, and it like again, this is often bad bitches.
Hell yeah.
This is bad bitches we're talking about. And like too many men are chasing bad bitches.
Exactly.
Ain't got the money for bad bitches. Ain't got the looks for bad bitches. Ain't got
they're not tall enough.
Intelligence for bad ain't got the height for bad bitches. No, I'm kidding. Ain't got the height for bad bitches. Like I'm not, and I know I'm sounding so like female incel here, but you know how like
no, that's true.
There's been that thing for so long of guys who are like, I'm a nice guy, like blah blah blah. Women don't want nice guys. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
I could say the same thing about being fat. I'm a good girl. I'm a nice girl. I'm loyal. I do all the girlfriend shit, but I'm fat and you don't want it, right?
Yeah.
So why turn that around on women and be like, well, okay, because if she don't want you, then she don't want you, right? The same way, if you don't want me, then you don't want me.
Right.
Or like, it just, but I'm saying generally, I feel like
I think it's a victim mentality.
Women are like under so much pressure to relax their standards. And I feel like men are never told to like do that. Have you noticed that? I've never seen a guy be like, I will never date a fat woman. And people will be like, well, maybe that fat woman could be your soulmate. You're ungrateful and you're shallow.
I have seen men say that like it generally speaking like for this I'm quoting what I've seen, okay?
Yeah.
They'll say like mid women are like the best women, like they're the best ones, not the ones that you think are the most attractive, but the ones that are like 6s, that are 5s, the ones that you wouldn't say is like the hottest girl in the room. They're actually the ones that'll hold you down the best because They're not like at the top of this totem pole. So it's actually like they're who you want. I've heard this being expressed.
Yeah.
And I think is in the right direction, folks. I think you're going the right way.
Well, here's the thing. If those men could actually be content with that woman, I would see that. But those same men that I hear saying that shit,
yeah,
they keep that mid woman until they level themselves up or let that woman build them up to a degree where then they're going to leave her and chase the bad bitches they've been wanting to chase. So I think this is a gratitude issue, I think, on both genders. Like, you don't know how to be grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
Me and I also think this is fucked up. This is so fucked up. This is why, like, sometimes, one, it's a double-edged thing, because this is why some traumatized people, if they've, like, worked on it, are some of the best partners to have. But this is also why traumatized people who've worked on themselves kind of fall into, like, abusive relationships, because we're patient. Like, people who are super traumatized and who either are working on it or have worked on it or whatever are, like, more patient, a little more understanding. And I think that can lead to a lot of, like, duplicity. It can lead to a lot of harm. You know what I mean? It can lead to a lot of, like, manipulation and lying if you're, like, a little too trusting or whatever.
Yeah, and I think people who abuse other people and do all that, like the people who commit the heinous acts that make these people the victims, know how to find those people. It's it's built into the whole system. Like, they end up together in this weird way. Like, you'll see it happen over and over and over again. You're like, how do you even keep finding these crazy dudes?
Yeah.
Where do they come from?
Yeah. And it's like, because you have a little bit of that crazy in you. And so y'all are reflecting something on each other. So yeah, I've had to, like, take more accountability with, like, my dating choices and just, like, realizing, like, what about you?
You know what? I'm lucky enough to where I had, like, one girl that I had, like, a super long relationship with, and then afterwards, like, I had, like, a tiny little thing with one girl, but I quickly realized, like, oh, this ain't gonna play out right. Like, I already know, like, I was gonna trap myself into a thing, and so I had to end that real fast. It was like 2 weeks, and since then, Ruse has been, you know, folks, I'm available, all right? Hit me up. This is my dating application right here.
Ruse is looking. Ruse is macking.
I'm macking. I always say I'm looking for my wife deep down, though. Like,
your wife?
Yeah, I ain't trying to fuck around, bro. I'm trying
What's the kind of girl, like, you're like, yes?
Oh, so, like, I've noticed, like, girls with, like, innocent-looking eyes, like, that shit gets me, dude. Like when their eyes look like they don't have to actually be innocent, but it's like when their eyes are, like just, I can stare into their eyes and, like, I see a universe in there. I'm like, damn, bro, like, tell me something, you know? So I like that. That can get me real fast, you know? Also, like, I feel like, I like girls that are funny, like a girl that has, like, an actual sense of humor. Like, you can't live without that. Like, that is probably, like, the main thing I would actually even care about. Like, even before, like, looks, dude. It could be, like, the hottest girl in the world, but if she did not, like, laugh at shit, I feel like... Well, we can't hang out.
I think this has been studied, but it's actually been shown that the funnier you are, the more intelligent. So
I think so.
There's like because
I think it takes a certain amount of intelligence to be funny. I think you have to play on expectations.
It's the skills of observation.
Things. Exactly.
Observation and interpretation.
And if you're actually funny, then you do that well and you execute that on a proficient level. You do it all the time. And so it's like it's unmistakable. So yeah, I think humor is a big thing. Yeah.
Innocent eyes of a child. So we've got
you could say that.
Eyes of a child, funny. What else?
Gotta be funny. I've noticed like see, that's like really like the two main things. Like I'd have to think that she's probably gonna be good with kids. I think somewhere inside of my brain, like I can tell like if a girl's like nice to people, like she's like down to earth, you know, I could tell she'd be good with kids. I think it's like my brain is seeking it out in this weird way. That's not true. I don't know, but I think that's what I'm trying to find. Like I'm trying to.
Well, what is good with kids to you?
Like if she's playful, you know, like you gotta playful? Be able to like play around, you know, because if you can play around like in a regular conversation with an adult, usually you can play around if you were like hanging out with a kid.
Can I be so real?
I think so.
That is such a man-ass answer to what it takes to raise a child.
No, playful, but I mean just
playful is like bottom 20 of the list of things. That you need.
But I mean like getting the kid to be on your level and like getting the kid to see you eye to eye, I think that's a big part of that.
No, but what
No?
I'm saying is you're skipping all the steps that come
Yeah.
before the kid is old enough to even talk about that. Like, like you need you.
Well, that's more like I have never raised a kid. That's
There's
really
so many,
more what that is.
There are so many qualities that go into raising a child that I think a lot of people don't realize. That
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I can't believe we ever tried to make this like a social obligation for everyone, because it's like you have to be intuitive, analytical, observant. You do have to be kind. You have to be kind. You have to be patient in order to like deal with kids. But you also just like think about like the little shit, like remembering to wash a bottle before you throw more breast milk in it.
Yeah.
Remembering to bathe the child, feed the child at appropriate time. Just little shit like that. When it's your day in and day out, especially like babies are a full-time job, more than a full-time job when they're first born, because their sleep is all fucked up. So like we're talking about someone who needs to be on the ball a certain way 24/7 for at least the first probably 6 months of a child's life. And funny or playful is not gonna crack even the top 20 qualities you need.
For the record, that was not my claim. My claim was that it is at least good to be funny. That's a skill that comes in handy when you're working with kids.
It does.
Because I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's like a million things that you have to master to be a proper... I don't even think it's actually like when you say good or bad parent, I even feel like that's just such a hard thing to even measure, dude. Because like to be obviously there's bad parents, but there's also like to be a good parent is almost impossible. Like to get every single thing right, it's kind of an impossible standard to have. Like I think there's no normal family, there's no normal parents, like there's no ideal situation where everything is perfect. There's things that are better, there are better circumstances, but almost always like there's some, if you're looking for it, you'll find it. There's some ideal, there's something you don't like, there's some unideal thing that happened when you were younger. You didn't like your parents. Either they gave you too much attention or they didn't give you enough attention. Mm-hmm. Either they left or they were there too much. Like it's like all kinds of things. Like it's just you find a problem. And I think of parenting, that's one reason I'm so afraid of it. I know it's going to happen to me one day. I know it will. But I feel like, you know what? Like I'm maintaining I feel like I'm still in my childhood until I have the child and then it's finally over. Yeah.
One thing I've been thinking about a lot, again, my friend that I told you about before, Matt
Brown.
Mm-hmm. We've been having that kid conversation, and he's very staunchly like, no one is entitled to a child. And a lot of our issues we have is because people feel entitled to children. And it's like, you can't go about it that way, because children are not your property. They're just not like they just don't belong to you.
Yeah. Like, and you know what's crazy is when you see like poor families, like they're the ones who end up having the most kids. Is like the families who don't have the things to support the children is actually where the birth rate is the highest.
Well, there's reason for that. There's a ton of reasons for that.
I'm sure it's very cultural, yeah.
No. Well, yes and no. It's actually the fact that like generally speaking, the common contraceptive methods we have now all cost. They cost something, right? It could be birth control. It could be condoms. It could be Depo-Provera. It could be spermicide gels. Whatever the fuck you want to do to try to limit your babiness.
Yeah, it costs money.
It costs some fucking money. So that's number one. Number two, you said, well, yeah, I guess there are cultural factors to it, because the poorer you are, from what I understand, I think the more likely you are to be religious. So a lot of...
Probably, yeah.
Especially here in America, where like a lot of our religious stuff is like evangelical Protestant Christian.
Yeah, I never really thought about that. That's probably
Protestant
true.
Christian and Catholic, both very much pro-birth, pro-forced birth, pro-marriage. Yeah. Used to be pro-forced marriage.
Gotta love it, folks.
Gotta love it. And then we still have some of them still pro-forced marriage folks down there in the... what they call it, beehive country.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, yeehaw town. So what we're talking about is hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years of what? Patriarchy. Woo! That says that a woman's main role in society or whatever is to be a wife and a mother. So, I mean, duh, poor people are going to have hella kids. And the other thing is, too, this is actually just like a very human, I think, lizard brain thing that happens. But a lot of cultures have kind of spelled it out. Poor people have more kids in some places. I don't know about America so much, but in other places, because the more kids I have, the more likely someone is to survive in order to take care of me when I am older and can no longer work.
Oh yeah,
and
that makes sense.
I still feel like a lot of Americans have that mindset, especially like when they come from like immigrant families. I've been told like when like Asian people. Oh my God, all the shit they're expected to do for their parents when they get older.
I don't know. Is it different? You expect to do everything?
It's more common for them where the generations are living in the same house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Their whole culture's like that. Everything's more interconnected.
Well, not all of them. I wouldn't say all Asian cultures are like that. I would say a lot of them are.
Okay.
I never want to say all because
like that,
because there's so many different cultures in Asia.
Yeah.
Remember the fact
I
that
suppose
like
I'm thinking of like China in particular when I say that.
yes, China is big on that.
Yeah.
So like, I'm also learning some Chinese right now.
Ooh. Throw some Chinese at us.
Shui is water. It's all like it's all food right now. I'm learning.
Are you gonna go to China?
Shut the fuck up. That's how they do it on Duolingo. Excuse me, that's not my choice. I'm not learning food first on purpose.
You know what I noticed on Duolingo is that they try to teach you this stuff in case you travel. Like I think that's why they do that.
Yeah.
So like if you go to China, you're gonna probably get food.
It's also to get you roped into the course so that you're not bored.
Ah.
If they had you going 1, 2, 3, I am, we are, you would get bored.
You're right.
So they give you operative shit that you can use. So shui is water.
Shui.
I'm going to fuck up these tones because I'm still learning pinyin, but bingcha is iced tea.
Bingcha
Is iced tea.
Bingcha.
Bingchui is iced
water.
What else do I? Café is just coffee.
That's like Spanish.
Café and French.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Un café. That's what it is in Spain. Like yo quiero un café.
Jishe is this is. So like jishe bingcha. This is iced tea. So yeah, I'm learning. Just it's very very early though. I really don't know anything.
You know what I always thought would be so hard about learning something like that is that not only are you learning the language, you're learning to read it at the same time.
Yeah.
And the symbols are a whole other thing. It's not like if you're learning Spanish, it's the same letters you're used to. To actually learn to read it is a whole other thing your brain is doing.
Yeah, you have to learn the pinyin.
That's what it's called?
It's called pinyin. You want to see?
Wow, you've got opinion.
No. And I'm sure I'm pronouncing this wrong, but because I'm saying pinyin, but it's probably like pinyin.
Pinyin.
I don't even know.
Pinyin.
I really don't know. Here. So.
Yo quiero un China. What is it? How do we say I am from? Yo estados.
Here, yeah, that's our opinion.
So
there's 5 tones, 5 tones of things. So
5 tones.
So ma.
Sounds like a duck.
Ma. No, see, I fucked up the first one. Ma. You know what I'm saying? So like those tiny little differences, and I probably fucked that up, but like the little differences in it makes it.
In the intonation, I feel like it's hard to even get it from the phone. Like it'd be so much easier if you had an actual speaker to like teach you, because you know it's like it probably is just tiny little differences.
That's why they say whenever you really want to learn a language, study it enough to get around and then go move to the place if you can.
Yeah,
you have to go move to the place.
Wow, move there. Really?
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yeah, a lot of people who really, really, really want to learn Spanish will go live in Mexico for a year.
Damn, son. That's a commitment, though. Because, like, I mean,
Mexico's cheap to live in.
Well, yeah, but it's like you're a fish out of water. That's why it's
You can buy Ozempic off the shelves in Mexico for $70 right now.
Yo,
I need a passport immediately.
just imagine like all the fat people.
But they're
going
gonna
to
deport me now because they're trying to get revenge on Trump. I hated that. You know, Mexicans used to let us just go down there and hang out, and now Trump and all his fucking people are fucking that up for us. I'm gonna get deported out of Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going backwards.
Fucked up.
Yeah, like they're deporting the Mexicans. We're getting deported from Mexico. What the fuck is going on here?
What the fuck is going on?
I can't even look at the Gulf of America. I can't even go and look at it from Mexico. It's bullshit. You know,
the Gulf, that whole Gulf thing. Like, what? Nigga.
I think it's one of those things where it's like they're just trying to give you something to talk about. They're just trying to give you something.
They're trying to distract people.
They still call it the Sears Tower, okay? Like nothing's gonna change. They still call it the Sears Tower in Chicago. They're still gonna call it the Gulf of Mexico. Nothing's gonna change. If it says something different on the map, no one's gonna call it that. No one's really gonna. I saw Nick Mullen on a podcast. He was saying like, you know, it's funny that there's at least like a guy who's sitting there who's like excited to say it in a conversation. Someone's going to ask him for directions and he's like, so you're going to go south and then you at least, you know, you're going to go 5-10 miles. You're going to see a fish shack and then turn left when you hit the Gulf of America. You know, like they're just waiting for their moment to throw it out there.
America. Say it.
Exactly.
Say it right now.
America.
Say it or I'll shoot.
Yeah, America. Jesus Christ, America.
Good.
And I got to respect it. In a way, I got to respect it because they have a character. They're playing a character. They know who they are. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, my God.
They're committed to who they are. They're waiting for their moment. You know, some people don't know who they are. They know who they are. But I mean, like, really, it's just so silly. The whole thing is like, they're just trying to give you something to talk about, dude. It doesn't matter. That's not what's actually... Focus on, like, where they're putting all of the tax money. And focus on things
I'm trying
like
to see
that.
what the fuck they trying to do about that climax change, nigga. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, what do you think they're going to do?
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
I think they're going to gut the EPA.
What is that? EPA?
Environmental Protection Agency.
They're just going to take it all out? Or they're going to say, like, just like everything could be the whole
EPA
Doge thing?
is like... The, like, EPA is, like, basically what was keeping businesses from, like... dumping so many chemicals into like Lake Superior, into Lake Erie that it was on fire. You know what I mean?
And
like,
it's still a problem.
There's still
protests. Like you'll see like websites for stuff like that, or it's like sign this petition. Yeah, I've seen that, and it's crazy because you're literally just poisoning the water supply. Doesn't even make sense. So they're gonna get rid of that. Yeah.
So that they can sell it to you. Yeah.
Gotta like that. Did we not learn anything from like the BP oil spill? That was
the
like
Gilded Age.
Yeah, no. Black-faced ducks in the ocean. You don't want that.
Did you just say black-faced ducks? Now you put the image in my head of some white dude doing like a minstrel show in like 1920s vaudeville America, and he's just got this black duck with like red lips, and he makes the duck do dances with him.
Yo,
this is fucked up. My body lies over the ocean. Oh.
And you'd think we'd get the message, you know. You'd think we'd get the message, but we don't.
God.
We don't. We still poison the water. What's going on, dude? What's going on? That is crazy. But you know what? That sounds like the USA I know. That sounds like the America I know.
Well, you know what? I bet you there's a fungus that can address it.
A fungus?
Funguses eat everything. There's funguses out there that eat plastic.
Really?
Yes.
Makes sense. I mean, like, dude, mushrooms are magical things. Like, even outside of like psilocybin mushrooms, there's so many different mushrooms that have so many different effects on the body. And then I haven't seen that thing on Netflix. Somebody's telling me about it. Fantastic Fungi. This is all about mushrooms. But it's also true that fungi, like mushroom fungi, is the largest living organism on planet Earth. Is like fungi under the ground. It's like miles long. I forget where it's at exactly. It's somewhere in America. The largest, at least the one we know of, the largest living organism is a giant mushroom, which is fucking crazy.
There's a mushroom or fungus in the Amazon rainforest that can completely cure cancer. And now you're getting into the tinfoil hat Khaya conspiracy portion of the podcast.
Welcome to our latest segment.
I fully believe that fungus... Let me see if I can find what it's called. I think that is why Bolsonaro and them started gutting the Amazon and why the U.S. didn't do anything about it. It's because cancer treatment And cancer research and cancer prevention is such a cash cow everywhere. Everywhere. I think big pharma would not have as much of a foothold on the American lifestyle without cancer.
Yeah.
And this, hold on, let me see.
So, like, meaning it's just one of those things where rather than curing cancer, you would keep the business going, because if you were to cure cancer, you would lose all of that money flow, all that money that you're getting from the people who have cancer that you can treat all the time.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they don't need that treatment anymore because they have a cure for cancer. It would actually be pretty bad for the guy who sells cancer drugs. You're the guy who wants to keep selling the cancer drugs. So if that's what you're saying, I mean, yeah, that's definitely happening. I mean, I know, what's his name? Paul Stamets, he said that his mom had breast cancer and it got cured by turkey tail mushrooms, and that was what really got him into mushrooms.
Really?
That's what he
I believe
claims.
it.
He claims that. You know?
I believe it. Turkey tail mushrooms are super. I know they're nutritious. I just don't know like what.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
going on with them.
really good for your immune system and the way that I think it's about your microbiome in your stomach. It's supposed to be really good for that. I think that's what it is. A prebiotic. I think it's just that. I have turkey tail mushroom, like a powder. I have turkey tail. I got cordyceps, and I got lion's mane.
My mom is really big on ashwagandha.
Oh, that I don't know about.
Ashwagandha? Yeah, you've never heard of ashwagandha?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
It does all that shit.
Is it a mushroom?
Yeah.
Really?
Or let me see actually.
Because there's like not as many different mushrooms as I thought there would be. Like I see, like obviously shiitake, oyster, but I mean I'm thinking of like the ones that at least like a.
I might be wrong.
Is it a garlic?
Oh no, my bad. Ashwagandha is like a root.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
It's a root. My bad.
A root.
But yeah, same. What's it? Ethos, pathos, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, ashwagandha. It's good for you.
Yeah.
Makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Get some ashwagandha in you. Ashwagandha on you. Get some ashwagandha on you. Hell yeah, that's my poetic mind there. You told me before you're a poet.
I am.
Is that true?
What do you mean?
Like you wrote poems? You know what I'm saying? Like when you say
pull
you're a
out
poet.
your phone and Google me right now.
Hell yeah, dude.
Khaya Osborne poetry.
See some of this. I started with really. I feel like I wrote poetry before I ever wrote like rap music.
I think you gotta have a good grasp on poetry to be really good at rapping, and I think that's why Kendrick Lamar is good at rap.
What do you say to look up exactly, Khaya? Your whole name and then just poetry?
Yeah, Khaya Osborne poetry on Google.
Yeah, I think that's what makes a good rapper a good rapper. So it's on this website, the Shade Journal.
Oh yeah, the really old one.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out where to start here. Just read the whole thing, I guess. You
don't have to do that.
You don't want me to read it?
Like, well, that's an old poem from when I was a teenager.
I'm trying to find one. I don't know which one you think is the best one to. Yeah, give us "Ode to Children I'll Lose in the Pursuit of Just One."
Oh no, I can't even hear that one.
Okay, all right.
Okay, hold on, I got you. Here,
Hell yeah,
let me do it.
Hell yeah! It's poetry hour now. We had the conspiracy section, now it's poetry hour. We're gonna have an open mic at the end. Some people are gonna come in. It's gonna be awesome. Poetry is fun. I got a dope ass poem. I got a favorite. I got a personal favorite of mine. I wrote it in high school. I remember in a poetry class.
All right, you ready for this one?
I'm fucking ready, dude.
Okay.
I'm so ready right now.
It has an epigraph, so I sing a little part of it first, and then I do it. Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Coon. I worship the god of survival. Chicken soup is my new same food right now. I'm losing weight, I don't mean to. My body rejecting most solids. I can chew but cannot digest most of what would keep me alive. I have been crying at familiar hours tied to loving illusions in my memory. Fallen ill upon upon facing forced labor, my heart's damaged, at risk of attacking me. My vision goes white sometimes. The onions with which I build this holy altar broth burn at the pot's bottom. Truth is steaming in the air so much we have gone impoverished to the bone from it. My rent is due and I have not felt like selling my pussy or predicting the future. It's a struggle to value myself enough, fight for my right to breathe in the cool air and do what needs doing. Have you ever seen a pair of iron shackles up close? The metal is thick, rough, an indomitable bar piercing two hastily contrived horseshoes. Only enough effort integrated into their design to keep a captive in one place. Who sits on the other side of fortune? When you lose a Benjamin to the belligerent wind, who catches it, kisses his face like he's a father, warming their belly with the sweat and grit of his back's breaking? What kind of colored futures would you boil and swallow to survive a world your ancestors prayed against with sliced palms and stolen bones? The most delicious cut of any animal is the dark meat, the muscles he uses to walk.
Interesting. What does that poem mean to you then?
So like I said, the poem is called Coon, and it's me kind of, again, I'm like a former sociology major. I'm really into studying like groups of people, and race is obviously, as a Black woman, it's something that is very interesting to me. I studied it a lot, and I feel like one thing I find interesting is this conversation around the coon / the Uncle Tom / like that Black person that is a sellout and that brings harm upon other Black people by like either talking shit about us or looking down on us or just like basically like capitulating to white supremacy in one way or another. And a lot of people have a lot of disdain and I would say righteous indignance with the coon. But if you are to understand race-based oppression as an indomitable trauma, as a trauma, which it is, and studies have shown it is, if you understand marginalization to be and oppression to be in a way, quote unquote, inescapable, how do you begrudge the coon this trauma response? There's a million different trauma responses for one trauma, let alone how many different responses can come from enduring chronic trauma under different factors. So I've just always found it interesting how people, I'm not so much upset that people are upset. I'm more so fascinated by the confusion.
Do you believe in generational trauma? Like trauma that's passed on through generations, just through genetics itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably something real.
The studies have proved it. Yeah, for sure. So, like, it's to me, it's a no-brainer that there are gonna be people that capitulate, and I think performing this confusion or acting like you don't understand, to me, just doesn't make sense because that's what oppression does. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to break you.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's just what it is.
And then you just have like a broken generation of people. Essentially, it just breaks the whole thing down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you do that for generations and generations, and then you amp it up and you dial it down, and you amp it up and you dial it down, and then it's like if you took a relationship with a narcissist and like kept reincarnating into that same dynamic. That's what race-based oppression basically is. Because white people, a lot of racist white people, if all the niggas in America got up today and went back to Africa, they would be trying to drag our black asses back here to do some work. I'm so serious.
Yeah,
so like, what do you?
I'm laughing
you know what I
you're
mean?
right.
It's like, what do you? What do you? So go back to where you.
Wait, no, wait.
Go back to where you came from. Go back to your country. You don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want that. If your daughter came home to you and told you, Mom, I want to be a housekeeper, Mom, I want to be a nanny, you would kill yourself.
Yeah. Maybe.
Not you. I'm saying the proverbial white mother, the Susan, the Deborah, not the Karen, the Deborah.
The Deborah. We all know
Deborah could never.
Deborah could never.
I'm joking. I have an aunt named Deborah, actually.
Really? Mm-hmm. Deborah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to... so, okay. That's a lot. There's a lot to unpack here. Man.
You want to talk about the Jews next?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
We're getting to that. We're getting there.
We're warming y'all up.
Yeah. I mean, okay. See, that's interesting. Because, like, I feel like it's the same thing with even, like, illegal immigration, truly in the end. Is, like, even the people who say they want everybody to go back, I don't think you realize, like, if you sent every single person back, if you sent all of them back, the economy would fall apart. It's actually impossible. You can't take all the illegal people out because they are like so much of the service industry is just those guys. Like so much of it. When you go out to eat, there's so much of that going on. Like if that disappeared, you have no idea how many restaurants just go out of business immediately.
Do you want to know what's actually funny? If we went and took out all of the illegal immigrants,
yeah.
Do you know how many old ass Polish white people here in Chicago would be getting dragged out of their house?
Right, that's a good point.
Like all of the Eastern, there's so many illegal Russian. Okay, let me stop. Hold on.
I never even thought
I'm sounding like I'm like a tinfoil hat person, but
Putin
I promise
is in America.
Listen, Putin is in America
spies.
right now. Putin is here. No, that's a terrible Trump impression. I wish I could.
Putin is here. He's been here for a long time. I know where he is.
I'm just saying.
During
Sleepy Joe's administration, we lost a lot of ebony BBWs. Back when I was the president, there were tons of ebony BBWs.
And what's going on?
They were American-made ebony BBWs. Now all the ebony BBWs are Haitian. They're African. They're eating the dogs. The immigration conversation is funny to me because there are Eastern European women who come over to here to have their babies.
Yeah,
and
really?
then they go home, but the baby is an American citizen.
Whew. So
look at 90 Day Fiance. Every time there's an Eastern European bitch on 90 Day Fiance, she's like, "What? You don't have the money? You told me you had the money. There's no money. I'm going to shoot you." Like they're all. You told me you had $1 billion. Sorry, I sound more Italian now, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. So how does that happen though? Is it just like how it goes? Is that just the way?
What do you mean?
Like, is it just the culture itself? Is that how you get those guys? Like, is that how that happens?
What guys?
Honestly, I forgot what I was talking about. I was trying to wing it, forgot what I was actually saying. I was like, we'll get there. The more you asked me what I meant, the less I knew what I meant. I was like, I don't know. I really don't even know what I'm saying.
You know what? First of all, I just want to commend you, okay? Because acknowledging is the first step. Right? And now we can begin our path to healing.
Exactly. Exactly.
No, yeah. We could change the topic.
I mean, Eastern Europeans, dude. What was it about Eastern Europeans?
Eastern Europeans are like doing
being in America, how they came here and they come here to have babies. Yeah,
immigrating illegally all the time, and no one gives a shit because they're blonde with blue eyes. And let me tell you something
just
else.
Like the image of it is just they don't even we've been trained to not think of it as those guys.
You want something controversial? You want something super controversial right now?
Always.
I don't give a shit about Ukraine.
Really?
I don't give a shit about Ukraine. Majority of those people would call me a nigger and then try to conscript me into their army. So I don't give a shit about them. But they're a white supremacist nation. And a bunch of them are neo-Nazis.
Would you then align with the other side, or do you think the whole thing is bad?
I love white on white crime. I love white on white. Y'all should do more white on white crime. I love watching white people harm each other.
Yeah.
I can't wait till y'all start putting each other in slavery again, actually. I can't wait for that. And will I be there too, being a slave? Yeah. But it's just going to be nice to have a Becky on my side with me.
Yeah. A Becky at your calling.
A Becky at my calling.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Becky, like ring a bell or something. She comes in.
Rebecca. Rebecca. Powder. Did you ever see Flapjack? The Misadventures of Flapjack.
I never really watched that show.
I love that fucking show.
I mean, like that. I never really got into any of the Cartoon Network shows for the most part. So, like Adventure Time, I never really watched. Flapjack, I never really watched. I watched like a decent amount of Disney Channel, and I watched a little bit of Nickelodeon. So I probably have a good amount of that stuff in my brain. But like Danny Phantom, iCarly was the shit. Yeah, iCarly. You know what? I went back and I watched the first season of iCarly. And, dude, it holds up in my mind. I was like, this is still funny to me. And one thing, Bruce's controversial opinion, okay? I feel like it's one of the sad truths of the world that, like, the people who lead industries and make the best things just happen to be, like, the worst fucking people. And it's like, if we just keep getting rid of those guys, it's just gonna magically, like, just gonna get worse. Because, like, kids shows now, they kind of suck, dude. And, like, iCarly was a good show. But sadly, the show was ran by a fucking crazy person. You don't think so?
No.
Well, like...
No.
See, I don't know.
No.
I think, like...
I can tell you what the issue is right now using an example. So this one hurt me, right? Remember when I told you I'm a poet, right? So there's writers that are very near and dear to me. Have you ever read... The Lone Ranger and Tonto Fistfight in Heaven by Sherman Alexie?
No.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto Fistfight in Heaven by Sherman Alexie is this series of short stories that's like vignettes of like native boys and growing up as like native boys. And it got turned into a movie called Smoke Signals. Sherman Alexie was like a rampant sex pest at wherever he taught. I forgot where he taught, but a bunch of female students came and like ex-students and just like women he had worked with and said like he had sexually harassed them. He said a bunch of sexist comments like yada 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 rah, yeah, right, and was like, I can help your writing career or whatever type shit. There was no lack of talent. There was no lack of abundance of talent. The true talent keeps getting squashed by the fake talent. What's the name? Dan Schneider?
Yeah.
Dan Schneider, he did have a lot of ideas. He did write a lot of shit, but like he also had a writer's room full of his friends.
Well,
and other men,
but you still wouldn't
and then
have
a couple
that
of
show
women sometimes.
without him doing it, though. Like he was the one who at least curated the show.
We did not need our Carly more than Jeanette McCurdy needed to be not getting sexually assaulted.
No, it's all bad. I'm not saying it should happen. I'm saying that, like, I feel like those people rise to the top of those industries. It's just one thing that happens, and then you see it, and you're like, once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it.
It doesn't just happen. It is facilitated.
Yeah,
that's
by
what
the
I'm
industry,
saying.
Yeah.
It's allowed to happen.
Yeah.
No, not the industry. What is it? What is an industry?
Well,
what is
I would
an
say
industry?
like the system that, like the.
What is a system?
So the entire thing that would build to that, like say you have a system in which movies are
Bruce,
made.
You're getting too complicated, and I'm asking you a very serious, simple question. No, simple, but it's simple. I'm telling you, you're thinking too big.
No, I'm saying, what is a system? I feel like that's a big question because you're saying like what?
An industry is a bunch of niggas. A system is a bunch of niggas.
Sure, yeah.
A culture is a bunch of niggas.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. It's the culture surrounding it.
No, this is a group of individuals, meaning you start at the individual level.
Sure. But the individual doesn't just end up there. Like, the individual ends up there because of the system that's in place that they work within. So, like, the system allows for such a thing. Like, it's like, I mean, really, it's like the money is the root of all evil. Like, if you follow the money, you look at, like, the person who's going to chase that type of thing, who's going to be so much of, like, it's like someone like Harvey Weinstein. Terrible guy, did terrible things, but he was always seeking out people and giving out opportunities, right? You don't want that, but that's what he was doing. And so it's like people who are predators, if you're like a predator in an industry that allows for that to happen, that's like, hey, we want people who are going to seek out people, you thrive in that industry for a while, and then all of a sudden you get caught and everything goes up in flames. I think that's why we see more and more of it. Like, it just keeps happening. It's just like, oh, hey, by the way, this other show and this other show and this other movie and this other movie and this guy and this guy. It's like, oh my God, all of you, every single one of you.
What I'm saying is that I'm saying that it's well, one, remember that there are a lot of people in these industries who do, meanwhile, have good intentions, move with integrity.
Thank God.
And those people that you and I are talking about have to brush shoulders with them and have to appease them at times to get to certain places.
Yeah.
So we can't necessarily say that this is all of them, because here's the thing. If it really is all of them, they wouldn't feel the need to hide it as much as they do. Like, they even hide a lot of shit from each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Until the point either where they can, or like rumors circulate, or they get powerful enough where they feel like that they don't have to. So what I'm saying is, the reason why, what I was trying to get to is the reason why predators and pedophiles and really bad narcissistic evil people can get so far is because they're good at hiding it, or they have some sort of institutional support from someone backing them. This is where we get as an example, you and me coming up in the industry doing, just pick one. You rap, right? Me comedy.
Okay.
We can't afford to be mean to people right now.
Right. Okay.
I can't afford to walk around acting like a diva, being a bitch, talking about, bitch, this water not cold enough. How motherfucking... No.
You can't just be Kanye.
We can't afford that.
You can't just wake up one day and be Kanye. It's not how it works.
You don't have a studio executive dad, and I don't have a Hollywood darling mom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But people who do have that can kind of bypass some of the social mores of things, but still not even really, because from what I understand now, even people within the industry are starting to get sick of Nepo babies, at least who are shitheads. It seems like there's a lot of tolerance for a talentless Nepo baby, but like a talentless Nepo baby that's also a shithead, they seem to just be getting pushed to the wayside now. So
again, thank God.
Yeah. So it's like, you know,
goodness does prevail.
Things do change.
Yeah.
Have we had conversations that you feel like are clip worthy?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, like, really, like, what's funny about like a podcast is you don't even know what's clip worthy sometimes. Like, sometimes I'll go back and I'll just find like 30 seconds and like, dude, this shit'll get, like, I need to edit more clips. The podcast gets like whatever, how many views? 100 views. The clip gets 2,000 views off of us just talking about blackface ducks for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you should probably do the blackface ducks. That's pretty fucking good.
I mean, hey man.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
I had to hire an animator to animate exactly what you described. Like, listen, I'll pay you a decent amount. Just please work with me here.
Is this how you make your money?
That's the goal, honestly, because like, and I feel, dude, it's crazy. Like, as I'm recording this, it's really picking up because like I'm getting more watch time. I was looking at it. Like,
actually, wait, I'm sorry.
What's that?
I have to pee.
Oh, yeah, you can go pee.
I have to pee.
Yeah. Pause, folks. Pause.
What's this? The cloud sound?
Cloud sound.
It's my nephew. My nephew has an album on that cloud sound. He put it on there, and he told us
kinds
to
of music on there. I went and listened.
Give
to
it a
bunch
listen.
of people. Yeah. Man,
He said, Auntie, if you don't like it, just turn it down and put it on repeat. Let it play in the background.
hey, shout out to all
He's gonna make money.
my SoundCloud rappers out there, okay? You know, my SoundCloud rappers. I had Ryan Kruger on here for the last episode, and he had pointed out to me that rap and comedy are the same in the sense that, like, there's a small barrier for entry for both of them. Anybody can do it. Like, anybody can just wake up one day and decide, like, you know what? I'll try out being a rapper. I'll try out being a comedian. And that's why you have it. Both of them are just oversaturated with people who just do it, and they do not understand, like, what it is. They just do it.
I think that there's a lot of parallels you can draw between rap and comedy. I think there's also a lot of parallels as a poet that you can draw between poetry and comedy. I think that comedy is poetry, but poetry is not always comedy.
No, yeah. It's like a square and a rectangle.
Yeah.
Because I think comedy is the same exact thing where it's poetry in a different medium, because there's a different thing when some comedy is like physical, you know, some comedy is in certain little aspects of the way you say something, like intonations and such things. So like it's poetry, but it's poetry in a whole different medium. Like just like rap would be. Rap is poetry. If the rap that I like, I guess all rap really, you could consider it all to be poetry, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Even when you're telling people like what you did with your gang and like literally describing crimes.
Well, I mean,
it's still poetry.
At the very least, rap is supposed to rhyme.
Yes.
So that qualifies it.
Well, poetry doesn't have to rhyme though either.
No, but poetry used it used to be defined as like rhyming verse, basically.
Oh, like
it was verse, but it was not prose. So there was a time in which they did think it had to rhyme or whatever, but it's gone through different phases, and like different cultures have different perspectives on it. I've read some like ancient Chinese poetry that like a lot of people would consider boring, but apparently like in Chinese it's supposed to be very beautiful, and so yeah.
I bet it's dope as hell. I mean, I imagine it would just be interesting because culturally there's the difference. So obviously the poetry would be different. I've heard a lot of Russian philosophical literature is interesting. Like I forget what the dudes like. There's a few different books that I've heard like you gotta read. Like
it's and Russian culture is interesting because they're very thoughtful people, and you wouldn't expect that when you like watching the videos of dudes like slamming vodka and like fighting bears and like jumping off of trees into rivers that are like ice cold. You're like, these people just survive on like pure instinct, and then like you read the poems and you read the literature and you're like, oh, yeah. Y'all are just trying to escape the horrors. Got it. Like Russians have a very deep understanding of the horrors.
A lot of it probably is like.
What's that story? Oh my God, hold on. Oh no, damn, my phone's
over there.
Oh my God, there's this story. Can you look it up for me?
Sure. What is it?
It might be called like The Closet or The Wardrobe, and I forgot who it's by. It might be Dostoevsky.
That's the guy I was thinking of, where he's like the one where there's a book by Dostoevsky that like people recommend. Wish I can't.
Is he a fiction writer too?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I think it's him, but it might be a different Russian writer, and I'm fucking it up. But look
the
up
Brothers
like
Karamazov is what I was thinking of. But what is the one you're talking about?
Let me see.
I'm on Dostoevsky.
There's this fucking short story, and it's haunting. I gotta find it somewhere.
Margot, the kitty cat.
No, I might be tripping. Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna look up.
That's how I sing to my animals sometimes when I'm alone with them. So Margot, the kitty, my kitty cat. She's so.
You're funny.
Thank you. The cats like it. I mean, the animals love it. They're into it.
Fuck, I can't find it. But okay. So it's a Russian short story where a guy basically catches his wife cheating, and she hides the boyfriend in the closet. And I guess he like goes towards the closet or something like that. And she tells him like, don't go in there, don't go in the closet, like whatever or something. I think she says like, if you go into that closet, I'll like leave you or something like that, or I forgot. But basically, he seals the closet off. Like in front of her, he like, hold on, I gotta. Oh my god, this short story is crazy. But I really like short stories that explore the human psyche and like, circumstances that are high stakes and very absurd. Like, have you ever read The Space Traders?
No.
The Space Traders is good. Hold on. I'm gonna find the one I'm talking about.
One book that I hear is really good with that is what is it? It was a movie in the mid 2000s, Journey to the End of the Galaxy, or what the fuck is it called? The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah, I hear that one's real good. Like with being philosophical, but also being like, you know, it's demonstrating a lot of that stuff through a fictional story. I mean, that's what I think that's what is that? I mean, Nietzsche wasn't nonfiction. That was all, or Nietzsche wasn't fiction. I mean, I don't think so. No, Nietzsche... there was a fiction Nietzsche book, because that was one of the big ones. Was the one about the god. It was. Like
I haven't read a lot of Nietzsche, to be honest. I don't know much about Nietzsche at all.
Nietzsche's awesome, dude. Nietzsche's like one of those people where he was one of the few philosophers that was like, I feel like he's like the Kanye of his time. The Kanye of
yeah, he was just constantly crashing out, talking shit about everything. But like sometimes you read something he says and you're like, damn, he's got a point though. Damn it. So, and I think like over time he's gotten more and more accepted. Like I think around his time it wasn't the same. So, but I haven't read any actual Nietzsche. Like I've read about Nietzsche a bunch, but I don't think I've actually read it. Dude. I know. I think that's where the magic is. If you're gonna rep his set, bro.
Zarathustra is the. If I'm gonna rep his set, yeah.
If you're gonna rep his set, you gotta know what the nigga about, man.
Well, Zarathustra, I know, is like that's the one I was thinking of, and it's. I don't think he wrote much fiction, but that was the fictional one he wrote, and that one's like. It had to do with like the whole thing he said about God is dead, and like how we've created a new religion out of what we have now. I think that's the idea, and then what he's presenting in that is a fictional version of like the God that would rise after God is dead. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
God is dead, folks. I think it's true. I think God died. It's a sad truth.
Sorry, so we're gonna skip that short story. I can't find it. I gotta figure out what the fucking story is called. And I'll send it to you and post it in the YouTube comments. Stop chewing on that table. Stop it. Don't chew on that table.
Yeah, don't do all that, Margot. That's not how this goes.
That's not your business. That's not your food. You know damn well.
Yeah, she's trying too hard right now.
She just wants attention. She wants being on limelight.
Yeah.
Ow. Oh shit.
Oh damn! We got our first cramp on Ruse Radio.
My elbow. No, it's not a cramp. You ever been leaning on your elbow and then it's in a weird position and you gotta like uncrack it?
Yeah. Yes.
So The Space Traders. Here we go. The Space Traders is a short story by Derek Bell, and it's so amazing. It's here. I'm gonna just read you. It goes into like these surprises and shit about like the fucking. These aliens that come down one morning and they can speak English, and for whatever reason they use the voice of Ronald Reagan to speak to humans.
Okay.
They had treasures and like special abilities, so like they had a ton of gold, and they were gonna like fix the environment, and they were gonna cure cancer, and they were gonna solve all of the United States problems in exchange for one thing. All of the black people The aliens want all of the people of African descent in exchange for fixing everything that's wrong with the United States. And all of the politicians are like, huh? So the actual fucking story is great. It's not even so much about the aliens as it is like this particular black Republican politician who, like, he's like trying to work with people to like figure out like what they're gonna do. He's obviously against like being like traded to go. He's like obviously against being traded to go to this like mysterious alien planet, but like he's having to like contend with some of the previous politics he's espoused and like some of the things he believes, because he kind of realized like he's like sold out, and like now this is like a more amplified version of like things going on, and like he's getting involved with like civil rights groups and shit. It's a whole thing, but it's a really good story.
So what is like is it a metaphor? Like why? What would be the grand message
I
of
think
that?
this story is more of a question.
Which is like what would happen in such circumstances? Like just how would people react?
How much does white America value black America?
Which again,
to what extent?
As you said earlier, if they all left, there would
if
be...
If we all left,
yeah.
y'all would be trying to drag us back. But that's if we all left back to Africa.
Yeah.
But if aliens came down and said that they would fix your problems if you sold us all... So, how many of y'all would fight that? What would it look like? What would happen? That's the question.
Do you think like if you reversed it, it would be the same answer? Like if they came to all the black people and they said, "Hey, we'll fix all the problems. We're just going to get rid of all the white people." Do you think it would be a similar answer? Or you think it'd be different?
I think black people are not trusting enough for something like that to happen. Like, I don't think we would...
be like, what do these aliens want from us?
Yeah. Because black people, we're, nigga, we from different kinds of places, you know what I'm saying? So if an alien comes down and it's like, hey, give me all of your white friends for... all this and that.
You guys are lying.
I'd be like, no, nigga, there's no way that's your limit. You want some booty too. Yeah. Be for real. You want some booty? I'm not giving you no booty. I'll give you Lauren. And you can do, but not my booty. Like, no, I don't think we would trust it. And also, no, actually, to stop being funny, I really think black people generally have more empathy than that. But I'm gonna be real and say I don't know if white people do. I'm not gonna say white people absolutely don't.
Yeah.
I am going to say I don't know if they do. And everything that's gone down with Trump and like all this other shit has like the way police brutality and all that. Like I just don't. Yeah, we're so polarized.
Yeah.
That. Yeah, but the Space Raiders is a good. But yeah, so no, I'm not gonna spoil it in case someone wants to go read it somewhere. But
it's a good book. How long is it?
It's not a book. It's a
short
like
story, right?
It's like 15 to 20 pages of story. It's a short story.
And like you said, you like reading short stories like that in general. If there's other ones similar you can think of.
I like political dystopias.
The
Hunger Games was my shit.
Yeah, did you ever read like 1984? And
I did read 1984. I thought it was generally boring, but
did you read Brave New World? Did you ever read that?
No.
That one I read recently, and I thought it was a pretty interesting book.
I also like historical dramas.
Historical dramas
for the same reasons.
It's very similar.
Very political.
What's interesting about history is like literally like you can see the same patterns play out time and time again. Like that's one thing you learn when you learn more and more of history. You're like, damn, like humankind really isn't that original. Like we just keep fucking up the same exact way over and over.
No, yeah.
The same stupid shit.
Yeah.
Bro.
We keep doing the same shit. We land on a place. We piss on the place. Yeah, we kill the people that were on the place. The place.
Yeah. And then that's it's again and again and again and again and again. And the question is, like, when do we have the next big one? Like, when does it go down again one more time? Because it's been a minute. It's actually been a minute since we've had like a big conquering of one area. You know,
I think that
trying to take out Canada's a state now. I've heard that one floated around. Let's make Canada a state. Maybe that's the big one.
As the climate gets worse, and the Earth becomes more untenable, I do think humans are going to try to populate the ocean some way.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to try to get off Earth. I thought you were going to say, like, they're going to try to
That's
populate.
not happening.
You don't think so?
That's not happening.
I mean, the thing is, like...
It's never going to be sustainable.
No. Well, no.
Hey, guess what? Hey, guess what? There are no vegetables in space.
But in that
no
movie...
pork, no cows.
In the Matt Damon movie...
Fuck a movie. Fuck Matt Damon. Wait, sorry. Matt Damon, I'm so sorry. No, not you.
Matt Damon, you can be on the podcast. You can explain yourself. We don't hate you here. We love you here, Matt Damon.
We love Matt Damon here. I'm just saying, like, no, it's never like we are so we are hundreds of years away from being able to populate space and sustain humanity for anything past like 2 generations.
Yeah. Yes, it's all a pipe dream, truly.
It's like years and years and years before we land on anything else, and none of the things we're gonna land on can sustain us.
Life, yeah. And even then, like, it's likened to. I mean, it's kind of the human nature in a way. Like, it's bound to happen eventually if life goes on, where we're gonna try it because we did that shit. Like I said, it's like you study history. That's what happened over and over. We just traveled outward and we found more shit and we tried to conquer that shit and we keep trying to but now we have the whole globe mapped out. We know where everything fucking is. We know where all the uncontacted tribes are. There's nothing you can go find that's like going to be far away from society. It's impossible. You're never gonna find something new, unless you go to fucking Mars. And so, like, the question then becomes, like, because, you know, what is it? Like, the first plane and then the first rocket, those are, like, within 40 years, 50 years. So that's why they say they can do it so soon. Maybe they're lying, though, and maybe they're just saying we can get to Mars by 2035, and they're just saying that, you know. The first people that are going to get sent to Mars are going to be by 2040. I'm sure it's something like that.
I don't think they're lying. I think they're overestimating their capabilities.
Absolutely.
And the sustainability of their efforts.
Those people are going to die.
Yeah.
Those people are going to die. Yeah. And they'll be like the first ones to really, like, it'll be like, oh, damn.
No, they're not, because the fucking Challenger, remember that?
Yeah.
Well, you don't remember because we were not born, but
I remember. I know it. That's like a big one.
No. What do you know? What's gonna happen? It's gonna be like in that fucking. Remember that because remember also. Here's the problem. I think our space programs and yada 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 would probably be a little further without as many corporate interests. But because corporate interest involves, remember that corporate's favorite thing to do is cut corners. And if you think they're not going to do that with space travel, you're smoking donkey crack.
It'll be
you
like the fucking, just like the airlines crack. Are right now, will be all the fucking rocket ships. They're just exploding in space. And we're like, hey, there's got to be a problem here.
Because what they're like this is all about profit margins and like this and this and that. And one thing a company loves to do is disregard some science. So, you know, I don't trust any of these corporate space anythings. I'm not going to name particular names. There's a popular one that everyone is, and it's like, no. Yeah, whatever. He's crazy. But like a lot of them are a lot of these billionaires are just these like Star Wars fans with too many toys and too much money. Yeah. And it's like, babe, you are not Luke Skywalker. You are never going to be Luke Skywalker. You're not Han Solo. You're not even Lando Calrissian. You're not even Chewbacca. Okay? Like, this is not going to happen. I think that as the climate gets worse and as us living like above ground is going to be more and more untenable, we are going to have people who successfully live underground.
How would you grow things without sunlight, though? Wouldn't that be the issue?
They do it with like lamps and shit like that.
Okay.
You can go
artificial lighting.
There's like urban farms that are like underground that are like really big.
I guess, yeah, because if you were even, it's like the same principle with the fallout shelter. You'd have to have it be sustainable and be able to grow things and all that.
And like the walls are thick, you know what I mean? Because it's got to be able to withstand a lot of pressure, like underground, you know what I mean? Soil is, if you pick up soil like this and it's all, especially like garden soil, you don't realize that it's like so, you know, dense. But once that shit is like compacted and it becomes damn near rock and all that shit. And the other thing too is why I think people are going to try to populate the ocean over underground is like we're going to realize how much shit is in our way underground. Like I'm not even talking about like tree roots or whatever, because you could chop you could chop a tree down and like yank it out of the earth.
Yeah.
But that's one tree. Talking forests and shit like that. These root networks are gonna fuck us up. Rocks are gonna fuck us up. Fossils, shit like all that shit. I think all of that shit that's underground is going to fuck us up. The ocean, it's really easy to make a thing that floats. And finding a way to make that sustainable is just going to be so much easier. They have already figured out how to desalinate water, so it's like.
Well, isn't it expensive? Isn't that why they don't do it more? Yeah.
That is why they don't do it more. But like that whole process of figuring out how to expedite it and make it cheaper is already underway.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't been like. I mean, just the oceans in general. Well, it's amazing. There's not more focus on them. You know.
I hate again. I know I'm bringing my tinfoil hat out again, but like big water. Like water. If you make desalination cheap and accessible, that means people can run to the ocean, collect a bunch of ocean water, take it home to buttfuck Michigan or wherever the fuck they want to do it, desalinate that shit at home, and now you, as a water company, are shit out of luck because only so many people want to get their water from a lake or whatever. That's why it's illegal in so many places to have rain barrels.
Yeah. Right. Well, I thought the argument though with the rain barrel was
it's also unregulated.
You're messing with it's unregulated like tampering with the precipitation process, which just sounds like a lawyer would say. No,
that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That's crazy.
Messing with the precipitation process? Yeah. You mean the process of water hitting a lid and sliding down the lid back into the pot? You mean that one? You dumb bitch.
It ain't allowed.
What are you talking about?
It ain't allowed.
Get out of my... This is what I'm talking about.
I've heard that before. That's what I heard. I think that was the government's explanation for why it's bad. Like, what else do you say? What else would you possibly say is bad about collecting rainwater? I mean, you can't do that. You're stealing our rain.
You might get lizards in it. But if you get lizards in the rainwater, it's going to make you sick.
Yeah, we're just trying to protect you. I mean, like, I never thought about it that way. You're probably right. I never even thought about like you wouldn't want good water.
Listen, and this is what I'm saying. It's like the whole big wellness and big pharma, they're in bed together. They're sleeping with each other. Because if I look, you can't collect rainwater and like process your own water and like have your own water reserves and shit like that past a certain point. But you can buy raw, unpasteurized milk and catch the fucking bird flu and get rushed to the hospital and get billed for thousands of dollars worth of medical treatment, or have your family billed for a bunch of thousands of dollars worth of medical treatment after you've died of the fucking bird flu because nobody boiled your fucking milk. So you see how like they get like if I convince you to do all this bullshit shit for like your health and wellness instead of like shit over here that is actually effective and is actually going to help you, once your health reaches a point where you're too fucked up to like manage it on your own with all these bullshit supplements and like, you know, just all this like bullshit, like, and like, now mind you, I do believe in taking a holistic approach to health and taking a holistic approach to caring for your body.
Right.
Like,
I think
you still have to eat well. You still have to exercise. You still have to like, you know, be on top of certain things. But like, there's just certain things that the body can't do with like prayers and chakra stones and a vegan diet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, like, I just feel like there has to be this, like, balanced view of it, because otherwise, especially what I'm really talking about is people who even kind of bypass that and do, like, supplements upon supplements upon supplements, and then, like, fasting and other shit like that. But, like, they're still not getting enough water, or, like, they're not getting enough nutrients. They're not getting enough fiber. They develop, like, gastrointestinal issues, or, like, whatever kind of issues. Sometimes it's heart issues that people develop because they're not getting enough actual food, just taking a bunch of supplements and inviting all these powders and pills into their bodies. And then, like, once those people get fucked up enough, where do they have to go? Big Pharma. So Big Wellness has made their money, and Big Pharma's about to make their buck. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times you still end up needing medical intervention for a lot of shit. Think those, like, Christian evangelicals who won't let their kids get vaccinated, but then when that baby done passed out in the middle of the kitchen from the fucking measles and they rush him to the hospital, what do you think those doctors are doing?
Yeah.
All that shit you just said was either ungodly or, like, whatever. It's like, make up your mind. Make up your mind so that only one industry can exploit you. Don't get exploited by both industries.
Right.
If you're going to be big wellness, go be big wellness. But when shit hits the fan and you run to the hospital and you getting thousands of dollars worth of shit billed to you, don't cry to me about it.
So would it be like big wellness is just like it's ultimately pushing certain things when really it's the holistic view of everything that would be more beneficial to your health? Like they're telling you you need to take supplements, you need to do this, you need to do that, and so your focus becomes on these minor things when really
and they
it's
prey on
everything
old
else.
people. They prey on old people a lot because a lot of old people are not looking at like the science or the data of things. You know
it's just like how scammers would prey on old people.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you just stop caring in life.
Yeah.
Start taking
Not just stop
people's
caring,
word for
but
it.
also old people do remember a time where like we had more natural, like homeopathic ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And I'm not against any of that. Like, baby, when I get sick, I burn camphor immediately.
Right.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Camphor is the active ingredient of Vicks Vapor Rub.
Ah.
So like what's the difference? You know, so I'm not, but also I'm on bipolar medication. I'm on medication for my PCOS and my anxiety and all types of other shit, but like without that medication, you could vitamin B me till I'm blue in the face. I'm still finna be a crazy bitch.
Right.
I need that medication.
Right.
You know what they used to do? So I'm from California, and they turned it into these fucking resort hot springs, which pisses me off because it used to be so much more sacred and holy than that. But there's this place called Big Medicine.
Great name.
It's called Big. Well, then the like I guess the like Native Americans there used to call it Big Medicine.
Yeah.
And it's just these natural lithium hot springs.
Okay.
And people with like mental disturbance issues and people who they believe are having like spiritual like possession or like whatever type shit, right? People basically suffering from bipolar before it was called bipolar and called something else and under a different cosmology. They would literally go have niggas just soak in that hot spring. They were like, hey, daddy, go take a bath. And you would just go sit in Big Medicine for a little bit in them hot springs that are not too hot where you're like about to fucking die, obviously, but like, you know, fucking hot. And you get in there, it's like, and that lithium soaks into your skin.
Like kind of like an Epsom salt bath
Damn
almost.
near, yeah.
Huh.
And they said it used to help people remediate their issues. So the difference between me taking a lithium pill that's prescribed by a doctor and me hundreds of years ago having mental disturbance issues and being guided to this hot spring, to sit in this hot spring, is just transmission. It's just the vehicle upon which your system is absorbing it. And again, the cosmology under which it's understood. Because a lot of mental disturbance issues back in the day were like understood to be spiritual. And I still kind of have that perspective because I'm in Ishesha Ifa.
Okay.
So Isheshe is the Yoruba way of life, which is Nigerian.
Okay.
So I'm in I have a Nigerian religion.
So is it like with medicine, there's still that holistic, like spiritual view of it then?
Yeah.
Where like your spirit determines your health in a way?
Yeah, it's called Akoshe.
Okay.
Akoshe.
And so like what, if you were to be sick, there are certain practices that
Spiritually sick. So let's pretend like, let's say like maybe I have like a spirit on me or something. I would go to like a Babalao or in Ianifa. And those are like basically the priests of the religion, right? The same way you go to like a priest for like confessional, you can go to like a Babalao or in Iya for like a Dafa, which is where like they cast a divination for you and tell you like what you got going on. So sometimes you have to like do some sort of like ritualistic sort of thing. Sometimes you gotta like feed your ancestors. You have like an ancestor altar, or they may say go lay an offering somewhere like at a tree or by a river or like whatever. It just depends on what they want, and what you're supposed to be doing, what kind of work you're doing, and what kind of movement needs to happen. Some things need to be placed in still water. Other things need to be placed in like moving water. Like it's all crazy. Well, not crazy. I shouldn't say that. It's all different and varied. So then oftentimes the like akoshe, it can be like something you drink, something you eat, or like a soap that is derived for you and prayed over and like consecrated a certain way to address whatever need you came to the iya or the babalao with. So it's a whole thing, and it's really cool. But I mean, in my religion, spirits are spirits, ghosts are ghosts, deities are deities. They exist, they move, you can speak to them, they speak to you, they do things for you, they don't do things for you. It's a whole thing.
And so how would you utilize that then with like, how does that blend with medicine, like modern medicine? Because you said you do take those medications then. So like, how does that work?
So this is just an example. Let's pretend like you and I are married and we're trying to have a baby.
Okay.
And let's say instead of me, let's pretend you're the person with the fertility issues. Maybe it's like low sperm count or something, whatever, right? Fuck it. There's certain spiritual medicines you can go to like a babalao or an iya for to help facilitate the process of like conceiving a child and making sure the child is carried to term. And oftentimes, even if it's only one person with fertility issues, from what I understand of that whole process, oftentimes both of the partners who are trying to conceive the child have to get involved in doing something for this ritual or maybe like offering or whatever, because the idea is like you're trying to bring, I mean, to be honest, in my spiritual / religious understanding of things, having a child is one of the biggest blessings you can receive from your ancestors. So your ancestors have to approve of you having a baby. So for like a lot of people, even when babies came at inopportune times or from terrible partners emotionally or like whatever, your ancestors still like approved at that time of you having that child. So a lot of shit when it comes to like conceiving children and stuff like that, it's like an issue of appeasing your ancestors. Yeah.
Interesting.
And you're not religious, right?
Not particularly. I would say I'm more spiritual than anything. Like I have a spiritual belief that there are just certain things that would indicate that there seems to be, it's almost like either it's a simulation or there are just things that happen that are just like super weird and crazily coincidental, and like people that make connections with one another in such strange ways. Like just the fact that there seems to be such an undercurrent of like under everything. Like there's consciousness, but then there's so much beneath consciousness that peaks out at times. Like psychedelics have always intrigued me for that you see consciousness shift and you almost see like beneath the surface everything that's down there.
I don't exactly believe, I don't give a lot of credence to the simulation theory, but not for the reason you would think. It's not that I don't believe in it, it's that to me it doesn't matter. Because the spirit plane is a simulation. The concept of the spirit plane and the astral plane and the 4D and the 3D and the 2D and the 1D and the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's all the same shit to me, just different names. And that's what I'm saying by the word cosmology. The word cosmology refers to like how a culture and/or a person engages with their understanding of like creation and like the world or the universe as it stands, like how it operates, how it moves. Like it's the difference. So I view people's cosmologies as like cars. Every car is different, but they're all supposed to get you from point A to point B, right?
Okay.
If I got a Nissan Sentra and you got a Toyota whatever the fuck, and we both got to get from this apartment to a party, who really cares which car we're in if we both got to the party, right? I guess in this case, the party being a metaphor for enlightenment or even just like basic empathy. I think if you have spiritual beliefs and religious beliefs that facilitate you practicing empathy as a person, good for you. Keep doing that one.
Right.
I don't care. Yeah. Like, I don't want to sit here and argue about whether your gods exist and my gods exist. If both of our gods are telling us to be good people and we're doing that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, exactly. I think like, and ultimately that is the best way you could possibly look at religion and religious stories, is that they are guiding you towards moral principles that are meant to help you do exactly that, to live in harmony with one another. And God, whatever your God is, would want you to do such a thing because that's the best state of things. That's the state of things that would get you towards God. You know, it's like heaven and hell. You do good things to go to heaven. You do bad things, you go to the other place. Because, you know, and I think like all that stuff, it was written at a time where stories we didn't understand things at such a literal level back then when we were writing these religious fables. It was like we just got out of Greek mythology, dude. We just finished and they didn't believe in the Greek gods literally. Like when you read those stories, you don't think like, oh my God, these guys are idiots. They actually thought these people existed. I mean, some people probably did, but it was like, you didn't take things so literally back then because it wasn't like you could read books. It's not like you could go somewhere and read a book. It just didn't happen. It wasn't like you knew why the sun was in the sky or why the moon was outside, and so all of a sudden you invent reasons for these things to exist, and that's really, I feel like, the source of it all. And then we just, because we're humans and we fuck shit up, we just end up fighting about it for thousands of years.
Well, I've spoken to people because my religion is considered one of the ones that's quote unquote witchy, even though like some of the purists of the religion would probably like be aghast at like that word. But so I end up talking to a lot of
that's gas. There we go.
I end up talking to a lot of like witchy people, and I've spoken to people who practice the actual ancient like worship craft shit of the like of the Egyptian and Greek gods and the Roman gods and all that.
Yeah. And
a lot of the shit they do, even though like the actual technologies and shit are different, is like very similar. It's very naturist. And so I'm one to believe, here's what I do believe. I believe that because I do believe in spirits, because I do believe in ghosts and all that stuff, I believe that a spirit can linger. One, I believe that a spirit can linger. Two, I believe that spirits are reflections of a person's soul or whatever, and different souls have different level of strengths. I don't believe that everyone's soul is the same level of strong. So I think that a person's soul can become so strong, like a muscle. You know what I mean? If you think of a soul as like your spirit body or whatever the fuck you want to think of it as, that concept, some have bigger muscles, smaller muscles, whatever, right? Would it not then follow that a person's soul could become deified? Because like we believe that you can feed a soul / feed a spirit just by speaking their name. That's why like if you ever go to like a black event, a lot of us will pour libations now for our like ancestors. We'll like name someone: Valeria Kincaid, Mackie Lee Osborne, Charles Keaton Sr., and like pour out some water for them. That's an offering because you're feeding that person's soul. So imagine a person does something. So like think about like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson had a huge impact across the entire world. And I would argue that if his soul is still present with us on this like earthly plane, it's most likely been like deified in a way. I bet you there's people offering Michael Jackson's spirit food somewhere. Now, whether that is actually Michael Jackson responding or whether it's an imposter spirit, who knows? But I think that spirits and souls can gain strength, and that's kind of where some of the deities of my religion come from. Like Shango. Shango was supposed to have been like a Nigerian prince or like a king or something like that, and he was very strong and who lived like thousands and thousands of years ago.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you think of that spirit as like an actual thing that exists metaphysically, like it exists outside of the bounds of our understanding. And so say like the person dies, but the spirit lives on in such a way.
I have communicated with spirits, and people think I'm crazy when I say it, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being perceived as crazy because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I have communicated with spirits.
So then that would not align with like, so there's no like resurrection, there's no past lives, there's none of that.
I believe in past lives.
So how does that align with such a thing then? Like, do the spirits come back?
A soul goes on multiple journeys through different bodies.
So is the spirit separate from the soul, or how does that work? Like how it, because you're saying like a spirit would still communicate with you. So is there like a process in time in which the spirit is in this outer space and then all of a sudden they go back in and do it all over again? Like that's what I worry about or that's what I think about when it comes to resurrection. Like, sure, what if your spirit does live on outside of life, but then like, what is time just a construct? Is it like that where like our understanding of time is not the same as if you were a spirit who's passed away? Like maybe that's where I'm wrong. Maybe that's where my human side shows.
Yeah, you know? I think that if you believe in dimensions, and I think you should, I think dimensions exist.
Einstein,
and
homie.
I was just considered right the third, whatever, in the fourth or the fifth or the sixth, whatever fucking dimension you want to fucking talk about.
Yeah.
I believe that time is more fluid. Time is a more fluid experience than the one we are existing in now. Do you remember Monster House?
Yeah.
How old are you again?
26.
Okay, I'm 25.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, we're pretty much the same age.
I think I saw Monster House at it was like at my school they had movie nights, and I'm pretty sure I saw that at a movie night at my school, which is like one of the best ways you could possibly watch that movie.
That movie never scared me. It always made me sad.
Why?
It always made me cry because Constance.
Yeah.
Because of her story, the whole thing, and him never crack. They should have never called that man Nevercracker. That's terrible. That's like that's so shady. That is, and then making him a guy that yells at you for being on his lawn. You're gonna call him Nevercracker? That's mean. And then give this man trauma. They gave that man level 88 trauma, brother. Like white men are not supposed to surpass the level of 60. Like, white men should not have anything more than level 60 trauma because y'all start hacking off people's heads and shit. Like, that nigga cemented over his wife, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Covered that bitch in rock.
Yeah.
Covered that bitch in rock. And cried in the basement every night.
Who can blame a guy?
Listen, that BBWs will do that to you. I told you to be careful out there.
Exactly.
Be careful out there, everybody. Don't let these BBWs fracture your sanity.
But why like Monster House was like a tragedy to you in a way then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I still kind of wonder, like, what's the difference between a spirit and a soul, or are they the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the concept I kind of have of a spirit is like, a spirit is a soul's maybe like snapshot, or just like a piece of a soul's journey. I don't know, but I'll say this. The shit that used to fuck me up about Monster House, and I don't think a lot of people think about this, but based in certain cosmologies, when you die, your soul or your spirit just kind of steps right out of your body and just like keeps wandering around being a thing. That's for people who don't really believe in past lives. People who do believe in past lives, they kind of think either your spirit/soul
Continue.
either your spirit/soul hangs out and then like jumps into a body or something, or like you go back up to whatever, in my religion they call it Odorun, which is basically heaven. And like everybody goes back up there. Everybody, good or bad, you go back up there and then you come back down. But it just depends on that part of your cosmology that's like different. But generally speaking, I believe that there are souls and spirits who do not want to let go. And if you remember watching, like, Constance, she's in a freak show. She's this fat, ugly white woman at a freak show, and they make fun of her because she's so tall and fat. She most likely had gigantism, so one, she would have had a short life anyway, which is actually fucked up to think about, because she was like 7 feet tall, I think.
Yeah.
The lady, do you remember? Like in the, because Nevercracker was tall himself.
I haven't seen the movie in a long time.
I've seen that movie so many times. Nevercracker himself was fairly tall. He was lanky, but he was tall, and then she was like towering over him. So she was probably like 7 fucking feet tall. And there's also this scene where she actually does, die with the axe. If you compare her position to like the little boys that were throwing the fucking rocks and shit when she was coming towards them, you can tell she's huge. Like, she's a big bitch. Yeah. So I shouldn't have said that. But when she fucking dies, or no, like when they meet and he's hitching her little cage to his truck, and he's like, do you want to come with me? I'll take you away from here. Like, there's this, it's so good because it's animated, so it's really interesting that the animators even thought to like include this in the movie, but there's this beat of disbelief in her face that crushes me every time I see it. Like,
because
she goes, he's offering her love for the first time in her life, and she's never had it. And there's this space you can see in her mind where she's like, is this really, like, there's no way. She goes like that, and then she goes, yeah, let's go. Like, and then he hitches her little cage to his truck, and then he drives her away. And then the next thing is like him building the house for her, and like when she dies and stuff. So you don't really see their life together at all, but what you do see is that in the next scene where she's dying, when she's walking down the stairs, she's in like way more of like a fancier dress. She has on like jewelry and stuff. Like, he's taking care of her. So I think in my cosmology, or like in my like understanding of spirits and life and death, this woman died in the house, in the first house she was probably ever going to have, ever. before it was built, and her husband is gonna live there alone. And I think like her spirit or her soul, the reason why she becomes like such a terrorist to him and to the neighborhood and everything that gets built around her is because in her mind, even as a soul and even as a spirit, he's not gonna take care of her if his attention or like if his life goes anywhere else but the house. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the house was supposed to be their life. It was supposed to be her new life. And then she didn't get one. It's like that movie is not for children, brother. Like if you really like break that motherfucker down, they should have like that shit should have been like PG-13. And then in the end, do you remember the end when they finally defeat the house and her spirit is twirling around Nevercracker, and then he grazes her with his fingers and she like grazes him and then she disappears? Oh my God, it gets me every time. It gets me every fucking time. Do you have any TV or movies like that?
That gets me every time?
Yeah.
Let me think.
Because I have a few, honestly.
I mean, that's a tough one. There's a movie I watched a long time ago called Synecdoche, New York. That's a crazy movie. That movie gets you. Because it's a movie about life, but the way that it tells the story it's by a guy named Charlie Kaufman, and like that guy has written some of like the craziest screenplays I've ever seen, and that's probably like the pinnacle because he wrote and directed that movie. But he also wrote, I just downloaded it, I want to watch it, but it's Being John Malkovich. There's that movie. There's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Everybody knows that one with Jim Carrey and what's her name. And so yeah, there's those movies. And what's another one that's a good question? A movie I love Breaking Bad. That show is just fucking awesome. It's gotten to the point where people call it overrated, but it's just that good. It really is just
actually have to keep watching it. I started watching it and then I fell off because I lost my Netflix.
Yeah.
Now I still don't have Netflix, so I gotta figure that out.
I don't think it's on Netflix anymore.
What?
Maybe I'm wrong, but I could have swore something was happening, like it was getting taken off.
Take that off Netflix.
It's crazy because Netflix is so tied to the show's success. Like it actually was when they got put on Netflix is when the show blew up in season 4. Like before that, the show was doing okay, and then after that, it just exploded, and then people watched season 5, and that was the last season. But like, damn, dude, I'm trying to think like other shit that I really, really like. One director that I think is absolutely awesome is Paul Thomas Anderson, and the movie Magnolia. That movie is fucking incredible. Like one of the best movies of all time. I Will Die on That Hill. It's that good.
I've never seen that movie.
It's in the late 90s. It's probably like Tom Cruise's best acting role ever because he's playing this like he's playing. It's basically he's going against his type, and it makes you wish he did more like antagonistic roles because he's this guy who like. He's not even the main character. It's an ensemble movie. So it's 10 different people and it's all these different stories colliding in these different ways. And like truly what the movie is about is kind of like parent-child relationships and the way that these things form your personality and just the things that we all go through in life. But it's telling that so unconventionally through all these different characters and how these stories interconnect in these different ways. But really... they're all separate at the same time. And with Tom Cruise's character, he's I want to say like a sex. He like comes out and he's one of those like he's like the guy who's coming out and saying like you need to dominate women, like basically like the self-help guru that's just saying like basically playing Andrew Tate 20 years before Andrew Tate existed.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And that's like perfect for Tom Cruise. And then
yeah, haven't you heard?
Yeah. So, but the movie like there's like a dying old man and he's Tom Cruise's dad and that's a whole thing. Like, but the dying old man is connected to why Tom Cruise is the way he is now. Like, there's all this shit. Like the movie has so much depth, and so that movie gets me every time because you could watch it. I like stuff where I can watch it every 5 or 10 years, and I'll always find something different in it. I'll be like, oh my God. Like, I think that's what good art is when you can go back to it after a while and you find something new. If it's done well enough, you should always see something different.
I'll tell you the trope for me that gets me. It's the trope. And I think this is why, what's the one I was just talking about falls into it? Monster House. Movies that will get me is always where there's a character who feels this just complete lack of love throughout their entire life. And then they see that love almost realized, but never fully. Like Forrest Gump.
Right.
Forrest Gump.
Right. Or
Oh
The
my
Notebook.
God.
The Notebook's a good one with that. Did you like The Notebook?
The Notebook's okay.
I just feel like it's like I guess there's a happy end. No, there's not really a happy ending. Yeah, that is the movie. I mean, you can call it a happy ending. But
I don't remember how The Notebook ended. You want to know what in the line with that one though, which I actually think this one's better. The Time Traveler's Wife.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. That's who's in that? Phone?
Ooh, I can't remember. I can't fucking remember.
The Time Traveler's Wife.
Time
It
Traveler's
sounds
Wife.
really familiar. It must be like when I'm guessing it's when those movies were popular still.
Yeah,
Yep, 2009.
I was about to guess 2009, but yeah. So who is it? Rachel McAdams?
Rachel
Is it?
McAdams.
Yeah,
You
okay.
got it.
And then who's the man though? Because I forgot who the man was.
Eric Bana?
Okay, yes. So the Time Traveler's Wife is this man has this genetic anomaly where his body physically time travels whenever it feels like it. He can't control it at all, right? And he meets this girl, and it's the whole thing. And he meets her at different points in his life, at different points in time. So their relationship jumps all over the place because his physical body jumps all over the place. There's this part, and it kills me inside, dude, because I have fertility issues. So him and Rachel McAdams, they finally together, they married or whatever. It's the whole thing, right? Sometimes he just disappears, and it's not him choosing to. His body he just time travels. And the first baby, they get pregnant. The first baby time travels as well, and time travels out of her womb before it can survive. So she has a miscarriage. And it's crazy because the way it happens is just he wakes up one day and looks down, and he's like, hey, you're bleeding. And they rush to the hospital, find out that the baby is like
Not there.
is completely gone.
And they know what happened, but the people at the hospital know.
They do. He gets like a doctor. He gets a doctor who like studies him or something like that, but like they keep it like generally like it's mostly hush hush. Like he doesn't want to be too famous or whatever. They don't like take him in and like dissect him or whatever. They're just studying him. And
damn, son.
She does end up having a daughter that does survive, and the daughter can time travel, and the daughter can choose where she goes. So that's interesting. Not every single time, but sometimes.
Sequel,
yeah,
2025, The Time Traveler's Daughter.
I know, right? I know, right? So, yeah, it's a cute little, but that one hurts because they reach a point where it's like, okay, where it's mostly okay, finally, and then
damn.
And it's crazy because they actually got like a hint. There's like a foreshadowing. There's one point he pops into the living room like shivering and bleeding, and then he pops out.
Damn, that's a jump scare.
It's really fucked up, dude. It's a fucked up narrative.
I mean, it's a fun concept too. I mean, if you're just popping in and out of reality, what are the problems that would pose in your relationship life? Mm-hmm. I never would have guessed miscarriage. That's
fucked up.
Creative points for the writer's room there. Yeah. Because wow.
No, that was a book.
Oh, it was a book first.
That was a book.
Okay.
And yeah, historical drama, same thing. Parade's End. Oh my god,
No,
Parade's End is so good. But Parade's End had more of a happy ending than it probably should have.
Parade. What's it about?
Parade's End is a Benedict Cumberbatch, Rebecca Hall miniseries.
Okay.
That they hold on your thingy.
Oh, you're good.
They put on HBO, and it was. It's basically the tale, and this is based on a Maddox Ford novel that's like 600 pages long for like really no reason. But he's basically the last English gentleman. He's like the last English gentleman, and it's like in the height of World War One.
Okay.
So we're talking about the British women's suffrage movement. We're talking about like people transitioning literally from the 1800s to the 1900s, so like the whole Gilded Age and like all of that shit. And Rebecca Hall, she plays Sylvia. Cumberbatch is Christopher, and they're the Tesians. And the way they got together is so funny because it's so slutty. So they're on like a train somewhere. I forgot where they were going, but they're like on a train somewhere, and they're having to share the cars because, you know, back then you would book a train seat, but you couldn't just have. You like had to book a different thing to have like a whole train compartment to yourself.
Okay.
So I guess they got put in the same compartment because they only booked like one seat for themselves. And they're flirting with each other. And it literally shows you in the show with her dress still on. This bitch just starts bouncing on his dick. So she gets pregnant, but she's also seeing another guy at the time. And because Christopher wants to like do the right thing or whatever, and it could be his, he just marries her. But she's still fucking on this other guy. And so she runs off with the other guy. And it's like, it's just about like the shift in like British social and cultural understanding of class and gender and a bunch of shit during World War One.
Because it was a shift. Like it was just a giant public shift all at once, right?
Yeah. Men were being more openly dogs, you know what I mean? Women were kind of wilding out a little bit too.
Right.
In their purview. I'm not saying fighting for suffrage is actually wilding out. I'm saying like that's how they were, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody was kind of losing it. And so the show is him contending with, because he meets this like, and of course she's blonde. They're always blonde. He meets this cute little suffragette blonde girl who's like all like, votes for women and like all that type of shit. And he's like, damn, I want to fuck you. But he wants to like be a good husband or whatever. And the wife isn't a good husband, and the wife is manipulative and mean, and it's the whole thing. And then, you know, it's a whole like...
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you. The whole show until like the last 10 minutes of the last episode is a whole will they, won't they kind of thing. But it's fun, and I love the drama in it. I love the monologue. There's this monologue that Rebecca Hall gives in it where she's like, the first line is like, your brother refers to me as that whore. I haven't had a man, Christopher, for 5 years. It's so like, you know, it's just the drama, like the, and then Cumberbatch has a really good monologue about being at war and seeing war and being traumatized. And like the noise that all of the guns and the bombs and the missiles make. It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
The other Boleyn girl was good too.
I don't know very many of these relationship movies. You're giving me great recommendation. I'm a sucker for those movies because I'm one of those people who like, I'm easily wooed by the movie. I'm like, oh, but they're gonna get together. It's gonna happen, you know. Like the movie, it tricks me into thinking what it wants me to think. I'm easily. That's why, like, when movies are bad, I'm like, they have to be particularly bad because, meaning, like, what I'm saying is, when I'm watching a movie and it's bad, like, and I'm not connected with it, I know it's bad, right? Because, like, most of the time, a movie can get me pretty. I'm not a hard sell.
Yeah.
Like, you can get me. I love the rom-coms. I really do. Like, like, all those early, like, late 2000s relationship movies. But what's the last one you just mentioned?
Parade's End?
No, you said one more at the very end there.
A movie?
Yeah, you said a third one. What was it? You said this one's also good. I don't know. Run back the tape, folks. You can write out your list. All right, you can have your watching list for Ruse Radio episode.
I can't remember what I just said.
Yeah, right?
I can't remember what I just said.
You know what? I will admit I am starving right now, and I think you're starving
hungry
as
too.
well.
Yeah, we should get food.
So that's what we'll do.
We should smoke weed and get food.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna smoke crack, but I guess we'll do weed and stuff.
Hey.
Oh, we're
I don't do crack. Crack is cheap. I don't do crack.
I'm
Crack
sorry.
is cheap.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's a Whitney Houston impression. She said that in an interview. Yeah, someone, who was it? Was it, I can't fucking remember if it was Diane Sawyer, Barbara Walters, one of them type of white women. It may have been neither of them. I can't remember, but some white woman is like asking her about her like crack use. She's like, crack is cheap. I don't do crack. Basically implying like, bitch, I do cocaine. How dare you? How dare you? I'm doing the white man's white drugs.
I got standards, bitch.
Bitch, my manager is Clive Davis. I would never smoke crack. But no, it's true. Whitney Houston has so much money. If she really wanted to smoke crack, she really wanted to. Like, she didn't have to.
Yeah.
Whitney could get as much fucking cocaine as she wanted to. And she's fucking Whitney Houston. How much you want to bet most of the drugs Whitney Houston did were free?
That's right. That's right. And that's the level of fame I want to achieve.
Amy
when people
Winehouse
just give
too.
me drugs. When you've done that, you know you've made it. I'll call my mom. I'll be like, Mom, someone just gave me a bag of Coke. It's
honestly,
it for me.
I would collect all the Coke that people give me, and then I would sell it.
Right.
I would flip the Coke.
You inadvertently become a drug
flip
dealer.
the Coke. Hell yeah.
You know, you're like the famous comedian that also flips Coke.
To be so real, I've done Coke and I don't like it.
I think I would like it too much. That's what I'm afraid of.
You've never done it?
Or I wouldn't like it at all. Yeah, I've never done it. It's never got me. I just always thought like, you know, I have an addictive personality already, and like I just feel like for one it's too expensive, and for another thing like, dude, I'm already fine with what I've got. I like my current bag of tricks. I don't need anything new.
I have a behavioral addiction issue, but like I don't think like actual substances. Well, no, weed is an issue. I think my weed is an issue, but that's it. But like, I'm a former sex addict. I'm in recovery. I'm working on that. But like when I did Coke literally just made me want to do my homework.
Yeah, right.
So I probably have like ADHD or autism. I think I'm autistic. I really do think I'm autistic. But
well, you know what? Like
that's not popular to say, but now I'm canceled. I'm canceled for diagnosing myself and knowing who I am as a person and being tapped in with my thoughts and my mannerisms and my sensibilities. My bad. Please forgive me.
I like to say that autistic is artistic with a slur. And
with a what?
With a slur. It's literally, if you said autistic, it's the same thing. Autistic is artistic with a slur, you know?
A slur is a mean word.
No, it's a play on words. I'm saying a slur, like you're slurring the word. Like if you were drunk and you're slurring.
Like a
autistic is artistic with a slur. But meaning that like often I feel like what happens is the people who truly are creative, the people who are truly artistic are going to be whatever you want to call neurodivergent. What else would make someone creative and artistic? It's the fact that you're thinking differently.
Trauma.
You're thinking outside that. Well, it could be that, but still it puts you in a, it's a great point. Yes, that too. But I think like, yeah, good point. I think they kind of, the trauma, now I'm processing that.
Hell
so
yeah.
the trauma and also the fact that you're autistic. Like, which one outweighs the other one? With making art.
Autism affects the way you perceive and process your trauma in the first place. So that's, like something. So
yes, well, perhaps yes, exactly. Maybe like it's those people who perceive it differently that would transform it into such a medium, because I just find that like the people that are into art, the people when you really talk to them, you're like, damn, dude, you're not normal, but it's a good thing.
Damn, dude. Damn, you niggas like coloring, retard.
Right. But
bro,
I love it, dude.
Check this nigga out. He's drawing faces, bro. Get this nigga out of here.
That is kind of how it is. But I love those guys. Those guys are my friends. And so like...
Those guys are my friends.
Yeah.
We smoke weed together.
Exactly.
Well, that's another thing that makes me think that I'm autistic too, because I didn't really understand how to socialize well until I started to smoke weed. And I know that that's such a big excuse that a lot of
people
addicts
are
use.
like that
People
with
be like,
alcohol too.
I drink, but I also think part of it is true.
Yeah.
Like, I think part of it is true. It should not be an excuse. And I'm not saying this is an excuse. I'm just saying this is something I noticed. And like, when I have tried to quit weed, it pops up again. And I'm like, okay, damn, I'm going to have to be very intentional about this. Like, because I realize it's like, I am a very anxious and more like in my head kind of person, whereas like when I smoke weed I really can like catch a fucking vibe. So I don't know, like I said, there's, you know, like we said, there's a balance to everything and like whatever. But
When I have quit, because I'm in the same boat I've always been, whenever I've quit for like a 2 weeks a month, like I really hit like a decent period of not smoking at all, what usually there's like a hump, like there's a week where it's like I just feel like I gotta smoke all the time, and Jesus Christ, like I really gotta do this. But also like there's like that internal voice is still there. But I think like what happens is it kind of just turns off after like a couple of weeks. It just kind of goes away, and then you're like, oh shit. Like I think some of it is the imbalance of smoking all the time. Truly, like
I was
just constantly doing it.
I was a huge anxious wreck before I started smoking weed as a kid. Like throughout my entire,
and then you discovered a solution.
Yeah. So and that's what I was gonna say is like, I know I'm dependent on it, and that this is not to excuse it and say like, oh, this is good. Like, yeah, kids, smoke weed if you don't have any friends. Like, no, but this is me saying that, oh God, if I run out of weed and I don't have the money or the means to get any new weed, even if it's just like a hit of someone's joint at an open mic, you know what I mean, which can even do a lot for you when you're out, it takes me 2 days to start having crying fits.
Damn.
It takes me 4 days to start having the anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
So again, I know I'm dependent on it, but I guess it's kind of like, again, too, when I started smoking weed more, I got off of gabapentin, which was prescribed to me for anxiety. So I think I'm kind of just like substituting substituting weed for gabapentin, but since that's a little less socially acceptable, it comes off like I'm an addict, when the truth is studies have shown that weed does help remediate anxiety and PTSD, both of which I for sure have.
Yeah.
So I gotta stop being a baby, but like I definitely think that there's probably not a future in which I'm never gonna not have any weed at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, yeah. I think it's a short-term fix for a long-term thing. Like, it can...
Okay, Dad. Jesus.
Well, it's a good thing, though, in the sense that, like, I'll be in the middle of, like, taking something way too fucking serious. Like, if I'm trying to cut down, not smoke.
Yeah.
I'll just catch myself taking shit way too serious. I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to allow it. And then I'll smoke. And I'll be like, oh, my God. I was taking that shit way too serious. Like, that change in perspective is a necessity if you find yourself in such a position. Right. So, yeah. But in the end... that thing is still deep down in there, you know. I think it's the same thing with like a holistic approach to life. Like in the end, it's about everything you do all the time. Like, you know, if you just smoke all the time and try to hide from it, it's gonna come back and get you tenfold, you know. But at the same, like my problem is the balance of it. Like I need to learn to. Maybe I need to earn it more. Like maybe I just shouldn't smoke all the time. Maybe I should find a way to allow myself to earn it. You know, find reasons. Just because I know myself.
Right.
Up to my own devices, bro, I'll just fall down that pit. I could just sit inside and do nothing all day. And so that's the problem. And the thing is... Are
you doing nothing or are you jacking off? Let's be real.
No comment. Yeah. At the end of this show, one thing we like to do is we give the guest a chance to send a message to the children. If you have something to say to the kids, a little bit of inspiration, a final...
To the kids?
Yes,
the kids are going to watch this?
Specifically, the kids who just listen to us talk about all those beautiful topics that children need to hear about. Okay. But also... social medias. This is your chance to plug your social medias and tell the people where they can find you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I am on Instagram at bitch.of.color. I'm pretty sure that my threads is the same, and if it's not a dot, it's a little underscore. My Twitter is bitch_of_color. But I'm not really on Twitter that much. It's kind of depressing now. I am on Facebook as Khaya Osborne, and I am on YouTube as Khaya Osborne. But again, my YouTube, I haven't really done much. I gotta put more clips on my YouTube, actually. This is a good reminder. I need to do that. I do a lot of stand-up comedy, so if you wanna find out more so about the stand-up comedy stuff, just follow me on bitch.of.color. I also do run an open mic called Poor Decisions Comedy that is on Thursdays late night at 11 p.m. at Poor Decisions, P-O-U-R Decisions, Chicago, the bar. Yeah. What else do I want to say to the kids? Okay, kids, listen here. If you ever see a duck and he's wearing blackface, you just tell him that comedy is poetry and Constance deserved better.
And with that being said, folks, clocking out. Double down, competition couldn't help him to rock. Missed the whole time, holy fell through the flock. That's an ordinary miracle, wealth to the block. It's a balance in the character that's calm and collect. It's apparent his caricature is lost in the mess.